Chapter 642. The Tall Hat Man would never believe that Yu Yang knew his group leader. Not to mention the people from Tong Tian Tower. Even the warriors from Western Heaven Realm might not know the clown leader. The reason why the clown leader moved to Southern Heaven Realm to establish the clown group was to keep it a secret. However, he suspected that there was a traitor on his side who leaked his secret. For example, Black Hell King's subordinate, Thunder of the Center, was very suspicious. This guy pretended to chase after them and left quickly. Who knew if he was the one who leaked the information to the enemy? Black Hell King was already dead. How loyal could Thunder of the Center be? Don't think that you can scare us just because there's a traitor who leaked the information to you. I'm very sorry, but we, the clown group, will not fall for this. The Tall Hat Man was optimistic about the situation. Sky Law was the only heaven ranker. She had already used up all of her power, so she could at most fight him to a draw. His two companions, captained by Ma, who had an extremely fast body technique, and Hei Tu, who could turn the earth into sand and turn into battle power, could easily kill those demonic palace people. If 3 heaven rankers couldn't even defeat 1 Sky Law, then there was no need to return to the clown group. It would be a disgrace. Haha, so smart. I can't even fool your clown group. Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders and pretended that he had failed to deceive them. Summoned Spring Breeze. Different from the Tall Hat Man, these 2 heaven rankers wanted to end the battle quickly because they had a secret mission and couldn't reveal their identities. If it wasn't for their companions calling for them, they wouldn't even want to show themselves. The middle-aged man in white stretched out his hand and summoned an elemental wind-type beast. This beast was almost transparent and had almost no shape. It was very different from normal wind-type beasts. It was more like a domain, a breeze domain. Everyone, including Yu Yang, was enveloped in this wind-type beast domain-like body. At the same time, they were also restricted by this wind-type beast ability. This wind-type beast was called Spring Breeze. It had a type of ability that could freeze the air. It was different from a domain. It wasn't that one couldn't fly in its body, but the speed of flying would be affected. Flying would be greatly slowed down, and it would consume more energy. On the contrary, the white-clothed middle-aged man was like a fish in water inside this domain-like wind-type beast body. Not only him, even the Tall Hat Man and the other black-clothed old man had increased their speed. Under such circumstances, Yu Yang's side was greatly affected. The situation was even more unfavorable now. Other than summoning an element-type beast, Spring Breeze, the white-clothed middle-aged man had also summoned a Heaven Realm Flaming Horse and an Infernal Nightmare. Although the Heaven Realm Flame Horse and Hell's Nightmare were not holy beasts, their levels were very high. They were close to Heaven rank and were probably close to innate level 10 in Tong Tian Tower. They were summoned not to attack, but to intercept. With their terrifying speed, once Yu Yang's men were defeated, no one would be able to escape from this space enveloped by spring wind. Under the interception of the Heaven Realm Flaming Horse and Hell Nightmare, they would definitely die. Sandworm, Evil Spider, Rockhorn Lizard, Magic Rattlesnake. The other black-clothed old man summoned even more beasts. Most of the beast's strength was similar to the white-clothed middle-aged man's. Among them, the Evil Spider had the strength of a Heaven rank level 1. Its huge body was more than 20 meters long. Even if a giant dragon saw it, it would probably be scared to the point of retreating. The black-clothed old man's legs trembled slightly. His energy flowed from his legs into the ground. He had actually absorbed the energy from the ruins of the ground. The ground around his body continued to turn into sand and slowly spread. Within a few seconds, it had a diameter of 10 meters. After a minute, the sand had already spread to a diameter of 100 meters in front of Yu Yang and the others. This person's beasts were very active in the sand. They seemed to be the best at fighting in sand. On the other hand, the Heaven Realm Flaming Horse and Hell's Nightmare flew into the sky, as if they were unwilling to step on the sand. Kill. The Tall Hat Man felt that there was nothing to say to Yu Yang. Heaven rankers fighting against Earth rankers, and with such powerful beasts, was there any doubt in the battle? Let them kill. Yu Yang waved his hand indifferently. Who asked you to talk too much? The white-clothed, middle-aged man did not wait for Yu Yang to finish his sentence. He had already flashed behind Yu Yang and punched him fiercely. He was prepared to break Yu Yang's spine with one punch. In his life, he looked down on people who had no instincts and were sharp-tongued. For people like this, his usual punishment was to break their spine with one punch and make them writhe on the ground like a dead snake, crying in repentance. At the same time, the black-clothed old man also flashed behind Skywrath. He could see that other than Skylaw, this man was the strongest person in the demonic palace. The tall hat man also attacked. He used Shadow Shift to appear behind Skylaw. Of course, his attack was a probing attack. Impatience did not care about him at all. On the other hand, the charmed demon queen who was protecting her raised her hand to block the attack. Her demon tail was like a sharp spear, stabbing towards the tall hat man like lightning. Sky Wrath, Sky Calamity, Sky Crime, Sky Fury, and the others did not attack the black-clothed old man. On the contrary, they acted as if they did not see the enemy and directly rushed towards the sandworms, evil spiders, rockhorn lizards, and demon rattlesnakes. On the other side, Yubing also commanded the Titan Ancient Tree to attack. Haiyingwu's golden three-headed dragon avoided the strongest evil spiders and fought against the Hell's Nightmare flying in the sky. Its level was not high enough, but it was still the descendant of the golden three-headed dragon king. Even if it could not defeat the enemy, it would not be defeated immediately. Yu did not attack. She continuously used her healing water ball on the little panda Nyonyo, who was in Yu Yang's arms. After a tough and bloody battle, the little panda Nyonyo's injuries were not light. Seeing that Yu Yang had come, Drunken Cat's morale soared. After being knocked away by the rockhorn lizard, she made an exception and poured a bottle of strong alcohol in front of Yu Yang. Using the alcohol as an external trigger, she stimulated the huge energy in her body. Once she fell into a drunken berserk state, her battle power would be completely different. Furthermore, her body was strangely free from the influence of the spring wind beast. Get lost! Drunken Cat grabbed the rockhorn lizard's tail and swung it up. Her body spun a few rounds and threw the monster that was the size of Small Hill 100 meters away. Rumble! The rockhorn lizard was smashed deep into the ground. Fortunately, it had thick skin and thick flesh, so it did not receive any injuries. However, the terrifying brute strength of the Drunken Cat Big Sis still made the men of the demonic palace dumbfounded. Good fellow, she had such brute strength even before reaching the innate realm. What would happen when she reached the innate realm? Actually, when Drunken Cat was drunk, a normal innate would not be able to defeat her, especially after receiving special training from Yu Yang. This domineering sister's battle power soared like a rocket. When she was not drunk, it was very difficult for her to display her potential. Once she was drunk, it was very easy for her to control her body's strength. This was also the reason why Yu Yang specially trained her. The white-clothed middle-aged man who attacked Yu Yang noticed a sharp blade piercing through the air when his palm was about to land on Yu Yang. There was a demoness whose speed was even faster than him, the one who was known as the best in terms of agility other than the leader. With Crescent Moon in her hand, it was actually her greatest advantage. It was speed. Bloody Queen Red screamed. Banshee Scream erupted. Captain by Ma felt as if there were 100,000 bees buzzing around in his head, or as if there were dozens of hammers hammering him. He was stunned. When he regained his senses, he realized that the bone-chilling sharp blade had already slashed more than 10 times in front of him. Captain by Ma paid the price of one slash and quickly retreated. He had a feeling that he had fallen into a trap. For the enemy to be so calm, it must be some kind of terrifying scheme. Just as this thought emerged, his body had already retreated 100 meters away with extreme speed. What made him feel incomparably astonished was that he actually crashed into a person. That person was the talkative man who was not even heaven-ranked that he wanted to kill just now. When did this brat catch up to him? Why was his speed faster than his own escape speed? Was this an illusion or reality? Captain by Ma, who was dressed in white, did not have the time to understand. A little lowly Lamia appeared in a flash. She was waving the even more terrifying dual icicle blades in her hands. He did not know if it was the freezing effect of the ice or some kind of energy binding him, but Captain Bai Ma did not even have the time to feel it clearly. He realized that he was frozen in mid-air. The talkative man who was hugging the little panda girl did not make a move. He only habitually revealed a mocking smile on his lips. In the sky, a bolt of lightning struck down and accurately struck Captain Bai Ma's head. Although its power was far from Sky Law's lightning of Sky Law, this kind of lightning was still not easy to bear. Captain Bai Ma felt that his elegant long hair was finished. He was definitely blown into a chicken's nest. Space Gap. Once Captain Bai Ma regained his freedom, he immediately used his ability to escape. Under the pincer attack of Little One Li and Red, Captain Bai Ma miraculously slid out of the net of attacks. It was extremely mysterious and extremely dangerous. Once he activated his special ability, he was confident that he could escape unscathed from a heaven-ranked level 3 ranker. This White Horse Space Gap was his famous finishing move. It was also the reason why he was called Captain Bai Ma. It was because he had the Space Gap ability. After escaping 100 meters, Captain Bai Ma wanted to wipe the cold sweat off his forehead. He did not expect that he would bump into another person. It was still Yu Yang. Captain Bai Ma's heart was in turmoil. Who exactly was this brat? How could his speed be faster than his Space Gap? No one gave him an answer. Only Medusa appeared beside him. She drew her bow and knocked an arrow. The moment Captain Bai Ma attempted to escape, she shot an arrow at his calf. When Captain Bai Ma's speed was slightly sluggish, a whip of agony lashed down from the sky, directly exploding Captain Bai Ma's back. Storm Mermaid and Yu Yu summoned 2 water dragons at the same time and sprayed them on Captain Bai Ma's body. This kind of attack would not be effective against a heaven-ranked ranker. However, to the Ice Serpent Demon, these 2 water dragons were her greatest weapon. Her speed surpassed that of the Thunder Naga. She rushed over from further away, and with a leap slash, she directly froze Captain Bai Ma within the water dragons. A spectacle appeared in the sky. The 2 water dragons quickly froze, forming a white arch bridge. At the core of the bridge, Captain Bai Ma was frozen. Captain Bai Ma was in extreme pain. The shattered ice dragon escaped from the thousands of ice shards. He did not want to continue fighting. This was not a battle at all. This was a damned torture. He did not even use 1/10 of his strength before he was mercilessly suppressed by the enemy. This kind of battle was too stifling. Captain Bai Ma decided to change opponents. He would go kill the people of Demonic Palace and let He Tu kill this brat. Just as he escaped, he found that he had bumped into another person. It was still Yu Yang. Captain Bai Ma suddenly had the urge to cry. "Can't you let me have a good fight? You can't play with me like this." With the support of spring wind and the white horse crossing the crevice, I can't even compare to you who is carrying a little panda girl. Do you really want to force me to hang myself? Hey, two, change opponents. Captain Bai Ma resisted his tears and shouted with a choked throat. I don't have time. Come and help me out first. On the other side of the battlefield, there was an even more painful cry for help. Captain Bai Ma took a closer look and found that his comrade, Hey Tu, who had the ability to absorb earth energy, was tied up by a female barbarian cow with god-binding chains. Hey Tu was being beaten up so badly that he did not even have the chance to retaliate. He was stunned. After a long while, he asked, "What about your sand transformation ability? Don't you know how to burrow into the ground?" Hey Tu was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. Burrow my ass. This damn barbarian cow has the heart of earth. It restrained my ability just now. Quickly come and help me. Hearing these words, Captain Bai Ma felt pain in his balls. I came to help you, but you're good. You're being beaten up so badly. He looked at Yu Yang, who had a mocking smile on his face, then looked at Bloody Queen Red, Stone Element Medusa, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon, who were slowly surrounding him. He nervously swallowed a mouthful of saliva, licked his dry lips, and replied to Hey Tu, I feel that I might need a bit of time, because it seems like the opponent will not let me leave so easily. Chapter 643. The Tall Hat Man did not see that his companions were in trouble. He pretended to be defeated and retreated, luring impatience to chase after him. He circled around and lured away the strongest enemy. He never thought that his two heaven-rank companions were not only unable to defeat their respective opponents, but were also in urgent need of his help. Because of Yu Yang's arrival, the demonic palace members knew that there was no possibility of losing this battle. Their confidence soared, seeing that he was toying with the enemy as if they were nothing. Their morale soared. All of them fought to attack, unleashing hundreds of ultimate moves. The more they fought, the more smoothly they cooperated with each other. After an hour of fierce battle, the burrowing sandworm was the first to be killed by Sky Disaster, allowing her to get the first credit. Under the joint attack of Drunken Cat, Little Panda Girl Nyonyo, Yu Yu and her Beast Storm Waves, and Storm Mermaid, the Rockhorn Lizard was the second to die. However, this second place belonged to Sky Wrath, who was fighting against the evil spider. However, in order to improve himself, Sky Wrath deliberately kept the evil spider alive and used it as a training partner, preparing to break through in this battle. Moreover, the evil spider's recovery ability was very strong. Once it had a chance to breathe, it would immediately recover. It was a very difficult opponent. Among the demonic palace members, other than Yu Yang and Impatience, only Sky Wrath could win against it. The arrogant Sky Calamity fought against the Infernal Nightmare for a long time. He was a little reluctant to kill this powerful beast. He wanted to force it to betray him and then force it to surrender to him. Unfortunately, the Infernal Nightmare was very loyal. Although its master, Captain Bai Ma, was beaten up by Little One Li and the others, it still insisted on not betraying him. This made Sky Calamity both happy and hateful. He was happy because this Infernal Nightmare was indeed a loyal beast. He hated that it did not belong to him. The other Sky Crime and the Heaven Realm Raging Flame Horse were also locked in battle. If the Heaven Realm Raging Flame Horse was amplified by Spring Breeze, then Sky Crime could only fight it to a draw. However, Little One Li's pure white light that had the power to disperse greatly weakened Spring Breeze's power. Wherever the white light passed, the enemy's amplification was greatly weakened, while their own heavy and sluggish bodies were greatly liberated. Without the support of Spring Wind's ability, the Heaven Realm Flame Horse was helpless against Sky Crime, who had a strong defense. Instead, under the Storm Mermaid's Storm Summon, its battle power continued to decline, causing Sky Crime to continuously retreat. Fortunately, its speed was faster, and it was always able to narrowly avoid fatal attacks. Sky Crime, for the time being, was unable to take it down. Before the Storm Mermaid blew the storm horn, before Yu Yu summoned the raging waves, the Rune Rattlesnake was awesome. Relying on its own strength, it forced Sky Fury, Sky Assassinate, and Sky Sword, the three low-level Sky Demons, to continuously retreat, unable to resist it. Previously, Sky Sword, who was already heavily injured, was almost killed by it a few times. It was the golden three-headed dragon that Hai Yingwu sent out that was powerful enough to step forward bravely. It saved him. With the appearance of Yu Yu's raging waves, coupled with the Storm Mermaid's storm summon, the wet ground caused the Rune Rattlesnake, who was more suited to fighting in the desert terrain, to suffer greatly. When Yu Yu used the healing water ball to heal the heavily injured Sky Sword, this angry Sky Demon was even more ferocious than Sky Fury, who was carrying the drum of regret. Brandishing the holy sword, it faced the Rune Rattlesnake, whose mobility and sensitivity had been severely reduced. It used the sharp holy sword to slash the enemy many times, taking revenge for the hatred it had for almost being killed in an instant. Captain Bai Ma and Hei Tu would never have dreamt that just a rain and the summoning of an elemental water-type beast would completely change the direction of the battlefield. Even though the Infernal Nightmare and Heaven Realm Flame Horse were not on the ground and had been flying in the sky, the impact was not small. That hateful Thunder Naga would summon a bolt of lightning from time to time, bombardment and sneak attack. After the evil spider lost its ability to drill into the ground, it could still float on the water, so the impact was not big. But the sandworm, rock-horned lizard, evil spider, and rune rattlesnake were completely tragic. Especially the sandworm, this beast buried in the sand, had become completely useless. It was turned into an ice sculpture by sky disasters Doomsday Tornado and Doomsday Ice Age. The rockhorn lizard was also unable to drill into the ground and fight in the water. It turned into a rock and was smashed by the violent woman and the little panda. It died with the most grievance because it was the only beast that died in the hands of non-innate rancor. The person that Captain Bama hated the most was Shaowen, because when she was present, all of his attacks would be suppressed. This little Lamia Loli was even more demonic than a demon. Heitu did not agree. He felt that the truly terrifying thing was this barbarian cow. Not only did this barbarian cow have the heart of earth, she was an inexhaustible goddess of war, and she also had the power of Titan. A dignified Heaven Stage Level 2 rancor was beaten by her to the point where he had no strength to fight back. Sometimes, Heitu wondered if he was really a Heaven Stage. Of course, if he was not a Heaven Stage, he would have died a long time ago. With the support of the giant image, Amon's fists weren't something that just any martial artist could endure. For Heitu, he had to admit that this was really a torturous battle. In the exchange of attacks, he sadly discovered that the barbarian cow's combat skills were better than his. Moreover, it was meaningless to attack her. As long as she stood on the ground, no matter how many times she was knocked down, she would quickly stand back up. Want to escape? This barbarian cow had a god-binding chain in her hand. This damned chain made him, a Heaven Stage rancor, unable to break free. Heitu, who was in a situation of being beaten up, almost cried when he saw the Storm Mermaid summon a storm and Yu summon a storm wave. This was too much of a bully. It was fine if the barbarian cow, with the heart of earth, was his nemesis, but they still wanted to fight in the water? The tall hat man went around in a big circle and swam back without a fight. He originally thought that he would see the enemy's corpses littering the ground and his companions smiling and waiting to gang up on Skylaw. He didn't expect to see the complete opposite. None of the enemies were missing. His companions were howling miserably as they were beaten up, and the enemies were smiling and waiting for him to return. Seeing Yu Yang's bright smile, he had the urge to smash his head on a piece of tofu. Zhongguan, damn it. How did you do your job as a special envoy? The information was wrong. Not only did you get us into a quagmire, you even escaped at the last minute. Our war beasts are almost all dead. Where the hell did you go? Captain Bama barely had the time to scold. When he saw that the tall hat man who was chasing after Sky Law had returned, he was immediately filled with resentment. Come here quickly. Heitu didn't even have the time to open his mouth. Sky Calamity, Drunken Cat, and Yu, who had killed their opponents, all took the time to come over to help. For Heitu, who was being suppressed by man, it was 100 times heavier. Fighting in the water was not his forte. That was his weakness. The tall hat man, Zhongguan, saw the situation and felt his scalp go numb. As the companion of a heaven-ranked rancor, how could he let the enemy beat up fallen flowers? What exactly happened? He had only brought Sky Law back in a big circle, and the situation had turned into this. It was really unbelievable. Almost in an instant, a light flashed through his mind. His heart was suddenly enlightened. If the rumors were true, then there was only one person who had this kind of ability. The tall hat man, Zhongguan, rushed to Yu Yang, who had not made a move, and exclaimed, You are Yu Clan's third young master? No, you shouldn't have come here. What happened? Could it be that Yi Xiao, Zi Guang, and Yu Su did not stop you? You should be fighting in another ancient ceiling formation, not here. How did you manage to rush over here? You used a substitute before? Yu Yang did not answer. When his mocking smile was still lingering in the tall hat man's pupils, his body had already disappeared. He appeared behind Zhongguan. When Zhongguan's pupils shrank and prepared to escape, an eternal wheel with a diameter of 10 meters appeared under Yu Yang's feet. Zhongguan was frozen in the sky. In the eyes of Captain Bai Ma and Heitu, he was like a puppet. He was beaten up by Yu Yang until his eyes were bruised and his nose swollen. His originally beautiful, colorful clothes were even more tattered than a beggar's. Even the tall hat man, Zhongguan's hat, which he valued as much as his life, was sent flying, floating in the knee-deep water. Zhongguan's first reaction after recovering was to pick up his hat. He put on neatly. Then he breathed a sigh of relief, as if this hat was his life. But Yu Yang would not let him go. Tao Tai blade slashed heavily, earth-splitting slash. Zhongguan hurriedly escaped, covering the hat on his head with his hand. His body fell to the ground in a sorry state, crashing into the ground with a loud bang, splashing thousands of water. It can't be. Captain Bai Ma and He Tu were completely in despair. They originally hoped that Zhongguan would come back to save their lives, but they did not expect him to be even more miserable. This young man's strength was far beyond their own. Even if the three of them attacked together, they would not be able to fight against him. Not to mention that he had the help of a terrifying sky law and many abnormal war beasts. We are willing to surrender. We hope that you can follow the rules of the Heaven Realm, and let us Heaven Rankers gain the dignity of those who surrender. We are willing to pay the ransom. The Tall Hat Man. Zhongguan also understood that he was not Yu Clan's third young master's opponent. If he continued to fight, he would not be able to return to the Heaven Realm, so he hurriedly surrendered. He saw that Yu Yang seemed to be a little moved, so he straightened his back. First, he straightened his precious hat. Then, he said to Yu Yang with an arrogant attitude, "As a Heaven Ranker, even if we are defeated, we can still gain honor and dignity. Before we pay the ransom, none of you are allowed to insult us in any way. In addition, we reserve the right to keep it a secret. No one is allowed to interrogate us. As a Heaven Ranker, we all regard honor as an existence of life." According to the rules of the Heaven Realm, there were indeed actions that allowed Heaven Rankers to surrender with dignity when the situation was unfavorable. For example, in the Raging Flame Bandit group, the Ox Clan brothers surrendered to the Lionheart King behind Long Xiang when the situation was unfavorable. No one laughed at the two of them because this was a very normal action in the Heaven Realm, in order to preserve their strength, or if the situation required it. As a Heaven Ranker, one's life could be ranked first. There were many preferential policies for the surrender of Heaven Rankers. For example, the Ox Clan brothers, although they surrendered, they still maintained all kinds of honor and dignity. The clown could not insult them, nor could he interrogate them about their secrets. He could only escort them away from the battlefield. Of course, this situation was completely different in Tong Tian Tower. Tong Tian Tower saw surrender as a disgrace. Especially in the Soaring Dragon Continent, Heaven Stairway, and Demon Abyss, dying in battle was the highest honor. Surrendering to preserve one's strength was the most despised cowardly action. Because of this, the Tall Hat Man, Zhongguan, was afraid that Yu Yang did not know the rules of the Heaven Realm. So he quickly explained it to him. When Yu Yang heard this, he nodded his head and smiled. Heaven Realm might be like that, but you must know that this is Tong Tian Tower, and this is the Heaven Stairway. Of course, those are not the most important. The most important thing is that I am the one who speaks here, understand? What I say is the only rule. Otherwise, I guarantee that you will enjoy this wonderful trip to Tong Tian Tower. Oh no, I protest. The Tall Hat Man, Zhongguan, was furious. It was as if he had seen an unreasonable barbarian. My first rule is that if anyone wants to talk conditions with me, then he must have the qualifications to talk conditions. Yu Yang ignored the protests and said with a smile, "Then what do I need to do in order to have the qualifications to talk about conditions?" Phoenix Fairy Beauty laughed and asked, "For example, fight for 1 or 2 hours without making a sound." Yu Yang played it down. Understood. Everyone responded loudly. Barbarian Cow Shadow Aw Man, who moved the fastest, punched He Tu violently. He Tu screamed and scolded, "Zhongguan, you idiot. You have to lower your head when you are under someone else's roof. What bullsh asterisk T Heaven ranks honor? What dignified surrender? These punches and kicks, these insults, these are the conditions that you think you are smart in exchange for. Idiot, quickly agree to it. I am about to be beaten to death by this female barbarian cow." Zhongguan did not have the time to speak, because Impatience and Charm Demon Queen had joined hands to beat up his fallen flowers. At this moment, he had no time to beg for mercy. Captain Bai Ma's situation was slightly better. After beating up Little One Li and Bloody Queen Red, he could finally shout, "I surrender." Yu Yang looked up to the sky and used his pinky to pick his ears, pretending not to hear. His expression was really arrogant. Chapter 644. Through the Tall Hat Man, Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu's voluntary answers, everyone finally understood what was going on. It turned out that the seal of the Heaven Realm Gate was not as perfect as imagined. In a place on the Guangming continent, in the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower, there was a very small space crack. Every year, with the tremors of a space storm, there would be a crack. If a large amount of blood sacrifice and strong control of space were used, it was almost no problem to send a person from the Heaven Realm to Tong Tian Tower. The success rate could reach more than 80%. In other words, other than the Heaven Realm Gate that opened once 100 years, there was another passage to Heaven Realm in the Guangming continent. However, the controller had always kept it a secret. The controller was none other than the ancient Demon King. Even the winged clan of the Guangming continent did not know this secret, because the location of the space crack was the god's cemetery of the winged clan. After the death of the winged clan ranker, there was a crack in the space vortex that he was thrown into. The ancient Demon King, who knew this secret, was not in a hurry to find helpers from the Heaven Realm. For thousands of years, he was looking for a sealed body and a suitable soul carrier to recover his strength. Until the awakening of the Black Hell King, the ancient Demon King realized that there might be a second prison emperor. However, when he found out that the real successor of the prison emperor was not Ji Zun, but Yu Yang, it was already too late. With his strength, he could no longer kill Yu Yang, and he had to avoid Ji Zun's pursuit. When Yu Yang returned from the battle in the Heaven Realm, the reinforcement from the Heaven Realm and the plan to revive the ancient demon were quickly placed on the ancient Demon King's table. The Charging Wolf mercenary group, the Clown group, and many other Heaven Realm mercenary groups accepted the ancient Demon King's employment. Under the flowery words of the ancient Demon King, they came to Tong Tian Tower. They participated in the plan to unseal and revive the ancient demon until the outbreak of the Heaven Stairway battle. According to the description of Zhongguan and the others, Yu Yang speculated many unknown possibilities and answered many questions that had been in his heart for a long time. The ancient Demon King definitely had a lot of backup plans. Fortunately, he now knew a part of it. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Yu Yang no longer tried to guess who the ancient Devil King's soul carrier was. He was sure that it was that person. However, where was the ancient Devil King's true body sealed? This was the problem that Yu Yang needed to solve the most. No matter what, he couldn't let the ancient Demon King find his true body. Just now, you said that apart from your team, there are 2 other teams, right? Impatience asked. Maybe there are more. Zhongguan carefully straightened his hat and nodded. But I've only seen Yu Xiao, Zi Guang, Yu Su, and Yong Hui. There's another team that I haven't seen before. I've only heard of them. Moreover, who knows if the ancient Devil King has a 4th team? I can't guarantee anything. Tell me, who are the members of Nightingale and Zi Guang's team? Sky Disaster asked. You're not a Heaven ranker. We have the right to refuse to answer your question. The Tall Hat Man, Zhongguan, could not be arrogant in front of Yu Yang and the Impatience. In front of Sky Calamity, they still had to put on airs as Heaven rankers. Are you itching for a beating again? Yu Yang was furious. This was his sister-in-law. Other than him, no one could bully her. Hit, brother-in-law, hit him hard. Sky Calamity now had her brother-in-law's support. What Heaven ranker? That was just a fleeting cloud. Don't hit him, let's talk. Zhongguan could not be arrogant in front of Yu Yang. He quickly waved his hand, fearing that Yu Yang would really get angry and beat him up. He quickly opened his mouth, pretending to be honest and sincere. Yi Xiao and Zi Guang were originally the rankers of Tong Tian Tower, the subordinates of the ancient Demon King. Later, after the Heaven Realm Gate separated the 2 places, they could not return to the Heaven Realm. So they established a Nightlight mercenary group, which was quite famous in the Western Heaven Realm. Later, the ancient Demon King appeared, and they returned to Tong Tian Tower. Both of them were very powerful, above heaven rank level 5. Both of them had a bounty of more than 500 million. Yusu, he once won the title of King of Aerial Battle in a mercenary competition in the Western Heaven Realm. His aerial battle was very good. Captained by Ma, who was beaten into a pig's head, also quickly explained to Yu Yang. However, although Yusu is Heaven rank level 4, if he loses the advantage of aerial battle, he is not as good as the three of us. Many rankers in the Southern Heaven Realm thought that Yusu was a fake Heaven rank level 4. His true strength was Heaven rank level 3, but his War Beast advantage in the air was very obvious, so he was rated as Heaven rank level 4. His bounty is not high, only 250 million. Compared to our 150 million bounty, it is only 100 million. What about Yonghui? Impatience asked again. This guy is the leader of Yonghui mercenary group. Heitu didn't know much information, but he didn't want Yu Yang to feel that he didn't say anything, so he quickly said, he is a friend of Yi Xiao and Zi Guang in the Heaven Realm. I don't know what kind of luck he had, but he got 3 very abnormal war beasts. One is Sunny Sunflower. The second is Spirit of Radiance. With these 2 war beasts, it is almost impossible to die. Killing him is harder than killing a Heaven rank level 5 ranker. The third war beast is Swiftfinger Light Fong, also a very powerful war beast. Combined with Yonghui's first 2 war beasts, it is very terrifying. Yonghui, this guy is harder to kill than Yi Xiao and Ziguang. The only thing he lacks is super strong attack power. Zhong Guan explained. There should be more than these people, right? Yu Yang had already seen Yonghui, Sunny, Sunflower, and Spirit of Radiance, and confirmed that these guys were not lying. In their team, there's also a weirdo called Bei, one called Gua, and the other called Gudeng. Their strength surpasses us. They're the strongest team among the 3. On our side, there are only 4 Heaven rank warriors. In fact, there are 3 of them. They went to the 3rd floor of the Heaven Stairway to revive an ancient demon. Because I came here with Thunder, I don't know the specific situation on their side. As for the other team, I don't know much. I just heard that maybe they're still in the Heaven Realm and didn't have time to teleport to Tong Tian Tower because the teleportation requires too much energy. The information that Zhongguan knew was actually not much. For Yu Yang, the only thing that was useful was to reveal the location of the space crack. Let's talk about Bei, Wagua, and Gudeng. Impatience decided to squeeze out the last bit of information. We don't know. The Heaven Realm is too big. It's not something you can imagine. We can't be familiar with every mercenary. Zhongguan shrugged, indicating that he didn't know the other party's information. Maybe we need a little reminder to help you remember. Sky Disaster clenched her small fist, looking like she was going to beat someone at any time. She stood beside Yu Yang with a bit of a fox pretending to be a tiger, waving her small fist, intimidating Zhongguan and the others. What did you say? If we say we don't know, then we don't know. You're just a weak little girl. You're not even in Heaven's stage, and you dare to question us? As a proud Heaven stage, we keep our promises. For any secret, as long as we are willing to say it, we will never hide it. You must never question our integrity. Zhongguan roared at Sky Disaster in exasperation. Hit! Yu Yang waved his hand, signaling Bloody Queen Red and Man to hit. We really didn't hide anything. Captained by Ma and Hei too were anxious. Didn't they confess? Now that they confessed, why were they still hitting? Even if you didn't hide anything, it depends on whether I'm in a good mood or not. Yu Yang decided to protect his sister-in-law. He was obviously using his position to avenge a personal grudge. Roar at my sister-in-law? That's courting death. Only I can roar at her. Although he didn't say it, his face had this expression of protecting his child. Brother-in-law, you're so nice. Sky Disaster used a sweet and cute voice to call him brother-in-law. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, just report my name. Yu Yang patted his chest. He was just like the legendary lord of Sabak City who wielded a dragon-slaying sword. He was as arrogant as he could be. Yeah, Sky Disaster nodded with a smile, like a rookie who just came out of the novice village. The feeling of being protected by a boss was really cool. What could Zhongguan and the others say? They were directly the victims of a guy from another world in the process of picking up girls. They understood this, so they could only hold their heads and bear it. Anyway, they had been hit many times, so it didn't matter if they got hit a few more times. Yu Yang didn't ask about the clown group. This would definitely arouse the vigilance of Zhong Guan and the others. Even if he wanted to ask, it wouldn't be now. When their vigilance was gone, then he would pretend to ask casually. That way, it would be possible to find out the true intentions of the clown. The clown and the ancient demon king definitely knew each other. Maybe they were very good friends. When the ancient demon king revived the ancient demons, the clown actually sent a few of his men here, and as early as half a year ago. What did this prove? He must know some very important secrets of the Tong Tian Tower. Moreover, why would the clown who was originally in the Western Heaven Realm go to the Southern Heaven Realm to start the clown group? Why would the Lionheart King of the Southern Heaven Realm cooperate with the clown? All the doubts pointed to one problem. That was the clown. He was definitely not a simple character. Yu Yang wanted to investigate the clown, but he couldn't rush it. He had a hunch that if he could solve the various mysteries of the clown, he might be able to figure out the situation of the ancient demon king together. There must be a close relationship between the two. The three of you enter the demon subduing tower. When you reach the heaven realm, as long as you can pay the ransom, I will release you. Yu Yang made a promise first, pretending to abide by the ransom agreement of the heaven realm, and Zhongguan and the others had no room to resist. They could only hope that this kid would quickly reach the heaven realm, pay the ransom quickly, and then escape. If they returned to the southern heaven realm, they would never come to this terrifying Tong Tian Tower again. What should we do now? Everyone looked at Yu Yang, hoping that he would come up with an idea. Brothers of the demonic palace, the battle here is over. If you're tired, you can go back to rest, or you can rush to support Yi Kong and the others. Yu Yang knew that these warmongers would not go back like this, so he gave them a task. What about us? Sky Disaster was unwilling to leave immediately. She still wanted to stay with her brother-in-law for a while. She felt that staying with him was the most exciting. We're going to fight a very, very big mouse. Yu Yang turned his face and looked at Yu and Yu Bing, second sister and Bing Air. I thought a good way. Maybe I can get a good war beast for you. If we really get it. Let's see who is the most suitable. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Sky Disaster couldn't wait to set off, even leaving the sandworms and rockhorn lizards that were killed on the battlefield. Help me get an infernal nightmare. You can set any conditions. Sky Disaster couldn't force the infernal nightmare to betray him in the end. He gritted his teeth and asked Yu Yang for help, even if I have to use all my treasures to exchange. He was very determined. For his beloved infernal nightmare, he was ready to go all out. No problem. Wait for me to finish this battle. Everyone will have to share the good stuff. Give me some time. Yu Yang knew that in the heaven realm, the infernal nightmare was actually not rare. Although Sky Disaster was a little arrogant, he was still his family. It was not bad to use the infernal nightmare to bribe his brother-in-law. He would definitely be useful in the future. Moreover, this brother-in-law still had treasures to exchange, so he would not lose anything. When he spoke, not only Sky Disaster, but also Sky Fury, Sky Assassinate, and Sky Sword were also happy. Without a super strong war beast, it was really impossible for them to improve their combat power. Sky Wrath and Sky Crime looked at each other. Smile. Sky Crime kept the corpses of the sandworms and rockhorn lizards, then rushed to the battlefield where Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were. Although there was Hui Tai Lang overseeing and two abyss manatees, the situation of the battlefield was ever-changing. They still had to go and see for themselves to be truly at ease. As for Yu Yang, he brought impatience, Sky Disaster, Yu Bing, Hai Ingwu, and Drunken Cat to another battlefield. That place was the final movement of this battle. That was a strange world where they couldn't fight or use weapons. A world of water that was sealed by an ancient rancor using the law. Chapter 645. Where the hell did you go? When Yonghui found Yang, he was furious. He flew down angrily and shouted, "Are you going to fight or not? Where have you been all this time?" He felt not only angry, but also a little wronged. She was like a widow who had secretly found a lover. She had waited for him with much difficulty, and when he finally came, she posed for him and was waiting to enjoy him. She did not expect him to close the door and leave for half a day, making her look like a resentful wife. Guild leader Yong Hui felt this way in his heart, uncomfortable and sour. Was it easy for him to cooperate? First, he summoned the Sunshine's sunflower, then the Spirit of Radiance. Just as he was about to fight, this kid slipped away and hid somewhere. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find him. Fortunately, it was not a friend, but an enemy. Otherwise, Guild Leader Yong Hui would have vomited blood. What made Guild Leader Yong Hui the most sad? He would have to stay in this water world with this kid for 10 years. If he hid like this every day, how would he live? It didn't matter if they fought every day. Yong Hui was confident that he wouldn't die. But if he hid and didn't talk every day, staying alone in this vast and endless water world, sooner or later he would suffocate to death. Yu Yang was indifferent to Guild Leader Yong Hui's anger, and still had a smile on his face. "I'm sorry, I had to go to the toilet just now." "You can pee for so long." Guild Leader Yong Hui felt that unless his intelligence was negative, he wouldn't believe this excuse. He guessed that Yu Yang was deliberately stalling for time, waiting for his summoning time to pass, and then come out to fight. With a contemptuous attitude, he snorted heavily, "Don't be stupid and naive. My summoned war beast can last for at least a month. Hide for a month if you have the guts." "So it's a month." Yu Yang nodded, seeming to understand something. Guild Leader Yong Hui felt that something was wrong. This kid, could it be that he really wanted to hide for a month? It was useless for him to hide for a month, as long as he summoned his war beast again. But the problem was, if he hid, there would be no one to talk to, and he would be suffocated to death. This kid could return to the grimoire world, leaving him alone in this water world. That was too pitiful. Guild Leader Yong Hui felt a little dizzy. Although the experts of Tong Tian Tower were not strong, their summoning grimoires were far superior to the Heaven Realm. He, a Heaven-ranked level 4, did not have a summoning grimoire. However, in Tong Tian Tower, any Earth-rank ranker who called himself an innate would have one. Moreover, the grimoire in their hands were all gold grimoires and above. This was simply infuriating. The ancient legends were not wrong. Tong Tian Tower was a treasure land that even the gods would be jealous of. Fortunately, the rankers here had already declined. If they were still like the prison emperor in the past, the Heaven Realm would not be peaceful. As for 10,000 years ago, it was said that the Heaven Realm often became a battlefield where Tong Tian Tower rankers killed each other. Just thinking about the top 100 rankers on the Heaven Realm's bounty list, almost half of them came from a small place like Tong Tian Tower, would make people shudder. Let's fight. Whether it's you or me, we won't be able to get out within 10 years. We could take advantage of this opportunity to fight every day. Maybe you'll advance to the Heaven rank when you leave. Yong Hui didn't want to kill Yu Yang. Even if he could, he wouldn't, because there were no enemies, no friends. He couldn't stand staying alone in this water world. He would go crazy. He felt that the best way was to cripple this brat, and then take the opportunity to cultivate his war beast during this brat's recuperation period. He would slowly play this brat to death while upgrading his war beasts. He had 10 years, and with the top-grade Azure Dragon Pearl, it was enough for him to upgrade his powerful war beasts. When his own super-strong beast was nurtured, at that time, even Yi Xiao and Ziguang would have to look at his face when doing things. They were stronger than him. Wasn't it just one more summoning grimoire and one more powerful guardian war beast? Yu Yang sat down on a rock on the island and asked, "Since we can't leave within 10 years, maybe we can talk. Even if we don't become friends, we don't have to become enemies." Guild leader Yong Hui sneered. "If you are a Heaven rank, then I can reluctantly agree to negotiate with you. Unfortunately, you are only an Earth rank, and your strength is far from mine." Towards his disdain, Yu Yang didn't get angry. Are there many sunny sunflowers in the Heaven realm? This question aroused Guild leader Yong Hui's vigilance. He stared coldly at Yu Yang. "You clan third young master, what do you mean?" Yu Yang explained, "It's like this. If there are many in the Heaven realm, then I won't snatch your war beast, because it's actually not very good. It's barely passable. If there are good ones, of course I'll choose better ones. On the contrary, if there aren't many sunny sunflowers in the heaven realm, then I'll reluctantly accept your war beast, because it's better than nothing. Guild leader Young Hui was so angry that he laughed. Why don't you also snatch my spirit of radiance? What he said was naturally sarcasm. In the heaven realm, even a fool knew that once the spirit of radiance was contracted, it would only recognize one master for life, and no one could snatch it away. As a peak heaven rank level 4 ranker with such powerful strength, it was fine if he didn't bully a mere earth rank level 8, but he dared to snatch his war beast instead. He really didn't know whether to laugh at his arrogance or laugh at him for not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. Guild leader Young Hui felt that this Yu clan third young master was just a spoiled child. Although he had Nirvana Flame and World Exterminating Wheel, and had the strength of Earth rank level 8 at such a young age, he could be considered successful at a young age. But he also had to have a sense of propriety. He couldn't be so arrogant to the point of being hot-headed. Facing a heaven rank, he could kill him in a second with just a raise of his hand, yet he still dared to open his mouth to snatch. Who did he think he was? A frog at the bottom of a well in Tong Tian Tower. A young child who wasn't even a heaven rank. Wanted to rob him? Spirit of Radiance. I actually don't like it very much because it doesn't have wisdom. If I can find a way to restore its wisdom, I can reluctantly accept it. Unexpectedly, Yu Yang replied with a serious face. You don't have a fever, do you? Young Hui first touched his head. There was no fever, and it wasn't an auditory hallucination. Thus, he came to a conclusion. He wasn't sick. It was this Yu clan third young master who was sick, or maybe crazy. Yu Yang smiled slightly. It was rare for him to speak the truth, but what he said just now was the truth. Compared to the war beast that guild leader Young Hui intended to hide, the fast finger light tooth, the spirit of radiance wasn't very powerful. What Yu Yang really wanted was the fast finger light tooth and another hidden war beast of Young Hui. The sunny sunflower and the spirit of radiance were also not bad. If he could take them together and give them to Yu Bing, who was good at plants, or Yu, who was good at healing, it would also be of some use. Seeing that guild leader Young Hui was eager to fight to vent, Yu Yang casually took out the demon-subduing tower and released Zhongguan by Ma and Hey Tuesday. It was very simple. He didn't say much, one word, fight. When I tell you to stop, you can stop. As soon as he finished speaking, he ignored the reaction of others. Like a light smoke, he disappeared into the original rock. Guild leader Young Hui saw the three people of Zhongguan by Ma and Hey Tu in a sorry state, and asked in astonishment, "What's the matter with you? Why are you here? What's your relationship with Yu clan, third young master?" "Zhongguan, are you mistaken? That's the enemy, and you're colluding with the enemy." Zhongguan explained with a little sweat. "There's no collusion, Young Hui. This matter is very complicated, and we can't explain it in a few words." Bai Ma and Hey Tu had already begun to summon their war beasts. It seemed that they were ready to fight. Seeing their obedient behavior, guild leader Young Hui felt a pain in the ass. "Which side were you on?" he asked angrily. "Zhongguan, you're not really going to fight with me, are you? Have your heads been kicked by a donkey? You, who are also from the heaven realm, actually listen to Yu clan's third young master and fight with me." Is Yu clan's third young master crazy, or are you crazy? I know, you're a guild leader Young Hui. I'm sorry, whether it's a real fight or a fake fight, let's fight. In fact, if it's up to me, you should just be like us and surrender to Yu clan's third young master. That kid is not someone we can defeat. Fighting with him is a waste of energy, and it's suicide. You're right. We are all mercenaries of the heaven realm. We have no enmity with the experts of Tong Tian Tower. We came here just for money. Why bother to lose our lives here? Captain Bai Ma felt that since he had already surrendered and revealed all the secrets of the heaven realm, it was impossible to turn back. Therefore, he didn't care about listening to Yu Yang's command again. The most important thing was that he had to listen. If he didn't listen to Yu Yang, he knew what the consequences would be. Yeah, don't be stubborn. The face of a heaven stage is actually just like that. If people don't give it to you, and you insist on asking for it, then you're just looking for trouble. He2 also advised guild leader Yang Hui to be sensible and not go against Yu Yang, or else he would definitely suffer. You mean you want me, a peak 4th level heaven stage expert, to kneel and beg for mercy? Guild leader Yang Hui felt that something was wrong today. Could it be that he was dreaming? Otherwise, how could such a strange thing happen? How could Zhongguan appear in this water world? It was fine if he appeared here, but why would they listen to Yu Clan's 3rd young master? What made guild leader Yang Hui dizzy was the answer of Zhongguan by Ma and Hey Tuesday. These 3 guys actually said in unison, "If you can do this, Yu Clan's 3rd young master will definitely accept your surrender." Bah, I'd rather die in battle than surrender. I, Yang Hui, want to see who will kneel. With the strength of you 3 traitors, you want to start a war with me? Guild leader Yang Hui sneered. 3 heaven stage level 2, and they were all injured. What was there for him to be afraid of? Not to mention that Zhongguan and the other 2 had lost a lot of strength. Even if they were in good condition, he could still beat the fallen flowers. If it wasn't for the prohibition of weapons and personal attacks, Yang Hui was confident that he could seriously injure one of them in 1 move, and at most 100 moves, he could kill all 3 traitors. This was the water world, so there was no way to exert his full strength. However, it was not possible for 3 Heaven Stage Level 2 guys to challenge him. The peak of Heaven Stage Level 4 was always greater than 3 Heaven Stage Level 2. Zhongguan sighed, "Fight, fight. I knew it would develop like this." He2, you have to be very careful. You're not strong in water battles. Yang Hui's Fast Finger Light Tooth is very fast. Once hit, it's almost an instant kill. His words angered guild leader Yang Hui even more. Yang Hui roared like thunder. "Are you all idiots? Knowing that my strength is far above yours, you still listen to the enemy and kill each other?" Captain Bai Ma cried, Do you think we want to do this? We have no choice but to fight. Compared to the inhuman abuse of the 3rd young master Yu Yang, we think it's safer to fight against your Fast Finger Light Tooth. At least, we still have a chance to dodge. Forget it. I won't say anymore. Otherwise, I'll make more mistakes and let that guy find an excuse to beat me up. Guild leader Yang Hui was speechless. He had never seen such a timid Heaven Stage powerhouse. Was this a Heaven Stage powerhouse or a Heaven Realm dwarf? What nonsense are you talking about? Somewhere, Yu Yang's angry voice came. "Fight now, we'll fight now." He2 was so scared that he trembled and quickly responded loudly. Guild leader Yang Hui was completely speechless. He thought that this guy was not a Heaven Stage powerhouse. This guy was simply a slave, and he was the most lowly one, so lowly that he was not even as good as the mud under his feet. Chapter 646. Light Tooth. Guild leader Yang Hui snorted, raised his hand, and pointed at Hey Tuesday. In a water world, He2 was the weakest by absorbing the energy of the earth. Here, He2 could not use his own ability, and the war beast could not absorb a large amount of earth energy. He became the weakest of the 3. Although Captain Bai Ma was better at aerial combat and was not good at water combat, he was still stronger than He2, who was best at land combat. As for Heavy Crown, he had the special skill of Shadow Shift. Sea, land, and air were all his specialties. Guild leader Yang Hui did not want to waste his strength on him. On the tip of Yang Hui's index finger, a small beam of light was summoned. Smaller than an arrow, faster than lightning. When a light flashed in He2's eyes, the beam of light with the power of death had already shot to his chest. It was too fast. Even with He2's Heaven Stage Level 2 agility, he could not completely avoid this attack. Although Heavy Crown, White Horse, and He2 knew that Yang Hui's Fast Finger Light Tooth was an extremely fast war beast, they were already vigilant. However, He2 could not avoid this heart-piercing attack, and could only watch as the light beam pierced his chest. It was not that he did not want to dodge, but his dodging speed was compared to the Fast Finger Light Tooth. One was a clumsy drunkard. The other was an arrow that left the bow. There was no way to completely dodge. He2 was frightened. He was ready to burst out with all his strength and use his body to resist. Overestimating yourself. Although young Huey's fast finger light tooth was Heaven Stage Level 1, it was a 100% attack-type war beast without any defense. If it hit him directly, even if Hey-2 did not die, he would be seriously injured. Hey-2 could barely take a hit, but could he take a second one? Young Hui could control the fast finger light tooth to attack once in a second. The raindrop-like attack. How many could Hey-2 take? Captain Baima rode on the Hell Nightmare and rushed down from the sky. He wanted to save Hey-2, but it was too late. The speed of the Hell Nightmare, compared to the fast finger light tooth, was like walking and running. They were not on the same level at all. White Horse was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Guild leader Young Hui, who was at the peak of the 4th level of Heaven Stage, was not someone that 3 Heaven Stage Level 2 could fight against. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they would not be able to. When Hey-2 was about to be killed by the fast finger light tooth, Hey-2's figure flashed and disappeared. He appeared behind Zhongguan, who was wearing a tall hat. It was Zhongguan who saved him. Although Zhongguan used the Shadow Shift ability to save Hey-2, his face was full of cold sweat. Fortunately, he was in time. If he was a 10th of a second late, Hey-2's heart would have been pierced by the light tooth. Let's see how many times you can save him. Guild leader Young Hui raised his hand and pointed his index finger at Hey-2's fast finger light tooth shot out again. In an instant, it was shot at Hey-2's forehead. As long as it was hit, Hey-2's head would most likely open up. Heavy Crown had the ability of Shadow Shift. There was no time limit for him to use it, but to save his companions, he had to control it within his own shadow. Just as he transferred the black soil to his shadow, he found that guild leader Young Hui had already adjusted the angle of his finger and pointed it out again. Light Tooth was one step ahead, waiting for the black soil to change its teleportation trajectory. It was the light of the sunny sunflower. Zhongguan was shocked. He instantly understood that this was the reason why guild leader Young Hui deliberately used the sunny sunflower to adjust the illumination angle. The opponent already knew the flaw of the shadow shift and calculated the shadow's trajectory according to the angle of the sunlight. This attack was already within the enemy's calculations. Guild leader Young Hui, who was at the 4th level of Heaven Stage, was indeed not a simple character. It's over. If Hey-2 wasn't in the shadow shift, he could still try to struggle and dodge, but now that his body was controlled by Heavy Crown, he could only watch the fast finger light tooth shoot over and kill him. Hey-2, the Heaven Realm Flame Horse blocked in front of Hey-2, kicked back, and kicked Hey-2's body into the sky. Its body was instantly penetrated by the fast finger light tooth, and it was seriously injured. Captain White Horse had no time to counter-summon it. He screamed crazily, rode the Hell Nightmare, and hit Hey-2 in the air. Narrowly, he dodged another light tooth shot by guild leader Young Hui. Guild leader Young Hui sneered. He reached out and summoned a strange unicorn beast. It had 4 wings on its back, shaped like a flying dragon, black claws, snake tail, blue eyes, and a single horn. As soon as it appeared, it spat out thick black smoke from its big mouth and hid within it. The black smoke was getting bigger and bigger, and it had the power to cover the sky. This was another powerful war beast of guild leader Young Hui, the black smokehorn dragon. Although this was not a Heaven Realm giant dragon, it was just a type of dragon. It was similar to the flying dragon of the Heaven Realm, but it was not the same species. However, its power was not to be underestimated. In the black smoke it breathed out, other than the poison that could cause dizziness and weakness to living creatures, it also had a special invisibility effect, making it difficult for any living creature to find its tracks. In terms of attack power, the black smokehorn dragon was slightly inferior to the swift fingerlight Fong, but in terms of sustained combat, it was much better. Capture. Hey-2 went all out and summoned the evil spider that was previously injured. The evil spider spat out countless spider webs, forming a gray net. Within a few seconds, it caught the black smoke horn dragon from the sky and almost dragged it down. Among the war beasts that dealt with aerial battles, the evil spider was an expert. It could be said that it was the nemesis of all flying-type war beasts. The black smoke horn dragon's body gradually turned into smoke, and easily escaped from the net. The net fell without success. On top of the evil spider's head, the black smoke-horn dragon swooped down and spat out a long flame tongue, almost burning the evil spider into a roasted spider. It swooped down and spat out a blow, but the black smoke-horn dragon was invisible in the black smoke. When it appeared again, it had already flashed behind Hey Tuesday. Before Hey Tu's body could react, guild leader Young Hui had already raised his hand and was ready for the next wave of Fast Finger Light Tooth. Hey Tu only had two choices. One was to let the black smoke-horn dragon spit out fire. The other was to let the Fast Finger Light Tooth hit him. There was no third choice for him. Shrouded in the black smoke, there was no shadow. Zhongguan's shadow shift couldn't save him. As for Captain Bai Ma, he was riding on the infernal nightmare. Although his speed was superior to normal flying beasts, it was still too slow compared to the Fast Finger Light Tooth. He wanted to save him, but it was too far away. Fight! Hey Tu knew that it was difficult for him to survive. He made up his mind and ordered the evil spider to retaliate against guild leader Yong Hui. Fight to the death. If he couldn't kill Yong Hui, he could use the spider's poison to poison him. Anyway, he couldn't let Yong Hui have an easy time. Who knew that this powerful guild leader Yong Hui actually had a summoned beast? It was a little monster covered in green scales, with golden eyes and silver horns. When it was summoned by Captain Yong Hui, the water within a radius of 100 meters had a burst of waves, giving rise to a strange phenomenon. Before the bite of the evil spider arrived, it gently moved its small front claws, causing the water to splash all over the sky, rolling up huge waves on the surface of the water, causing the evil spider to fall into the whirlpool. It was impossible to make a fight to the death. This little monster, although its level was low, gold level 5, its strength was estimated to be equivalent to innate level 1. Its strength was far inferior to the evil spider that was close to Heaven Stage level 1. However, its eyes were extremely intelligent. Even though it couldn't transform into a human for the time being, it couldn't speak, but it felt that it was close to a holy beast. If it weren't for the fact that this little thing was still in its infancy and its level was too low, with its high intelligence, it might be able to defeat the evil spider. Guild leader Yong Hui was very fond of this little monster. After he summoned it, he held it in his hand and was reluctant to let it go, for fear that this smart little thing would betray him and run away. Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil were now disheartened and had no morale. Too powerful. This guild leader Yong Hui was indeed a strong guild leader. In addition to his own strength at the peak of Heaven Stage level 4, he also had so many powerful war beasts. There was really no way to fight this battle. The combination of Sunny Sunflower and Spirit of Radiance could guarantee Yong Hui's survival, while the Swift Finger Light Tooth and Black Smokehorn Dragon were the strongest combination for killing enemies. The most outrageous thing was that in order to cultivate war beasts, guild leader Yong Hui actually summoned the young beast to participate in the battle. It seemed that Yong Hui didn't take this battle seriously. He still had the mood to cultivate the young beast. In the hearts of Heavy Crown and the others, they had the intention to retreat. They were ready to take a few blows from Yong Hui and quickly withdraw from this battle. Even if they were beaten up by Yu Yang, they didn't want to fight again. This kind of battle was simply meaningless. This guild leader Yong Hui was not someone that the three of them could fight against. Not to mention winning, it was impossible to even tie. When Heavy Crown and the others were at their most desperate, when guild leader Yong Hui laughed the most arrogant and cocky, an impossible thing happened. Yong Hui, who was preparing to launch an attack on Black Soil, looked at the sky with his pupils severely contracted. Not only him, but also Black Soil, who was almost bitten, White Horse, who flew to rescue, and Heavy Crown, who was ready to use Shadow Shift. At this moment, they all forgot to fight and stared blankly at the sky. It was a sunny sky. In an instant, darkness fell. It turned out that the sun-like sunshine sunflower had disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Guild leader Yong Hui felt like he was slapped in the face. His face turned red and blue. He found that his contracted sunny sunflower had betrayed him. How was this possible? Plant-type beasts were the hardest beasts to betray their masters out of all the other beasts. Other than battle dolls and guardian beasts that would never betray their masters, there were very, very few plant-type beasts that would betray their masters. Unless it was a plant-type beast that had independent thoughts and intelligence close to that of a holy beast. If it didn't have any thoughts and only had instincts, it wouldn't betray its master even if its master faced death. Why? Why would the sunny sunflower betray its master when guild leader Yong Hui had the upper hand and completely overwhelmed the enemy? This question was biting Yong Hui's heart like a mouse biting wood, making him very painful. Now Yong Hui not only felt ashamed, but also angry and depressed. Was his charm really that bad? Even a sunny sunflower without wisdom could be kept. The worst thing was that such a humiliating betrayal happened in front of Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil. Guild leader Yong Hui lost his face and was so angry that he almost had internal injuries. Soon the answer emerged. When Yong Hui saw it, he was furious. When Heavy Crown and the others saw it, they were overjoyed. The sunny sunflower reappeared in the sky, shining with the previous brilliant brilliance. However, it had changed its owner. Its new owner had been replaced by a young and beautiful woman. That woman, holding hands with Yu Yang, floated down from a very high sky, like a spring goddess descending to the world. Her breath, like a breeze blowing the earth, brought a refreshing fragrance to the whole water world. Did you do it? Guild leader Yong Hui's lungs were about to explode. He never thought that this Yu family's third young master could really snatch the sunny sunflower. The spirit of radiance has no wisdom. I don't like it very much. If that fast finger light tooth can be integrated with my spiral aurora, then it's not bad. This woman with a flowery fragrance was naturally the city lord of fallen flowers. She ignored the anger of guild leader Yong Hui, only Yu Yang in her eyes. For his proposal, just now, she smiled and waved her hand. Just now Bing Air and the others gave me the sunflower. This spirit of radiance should be left to them. I like to attack. It's useless to have a healing war beast. It's best to give it to Yu. How dare you provoke my dignity? Damn it. All of you go to hell. Guild leader Yong Hui lost the sunny sunflower, and his heart was bleeding. He raised his hand angrily, his index finger pointing at Yu Yang, ready to use fast finger light tooth to teach him a lesson of death. Aurora, faster than him, in the hands of master of Luo Hua City, a giant beam of light with 3 spirals on the outside with destructive light energy directly bombarded Yong Hui's body. Chapter 647. When Yong Hui's face was covered in dust, his figure appeared after the smoke dissipated. His expression, it was very ridiculous. It was a kind of doubt that was completely unbelievable. Although the fast finger light tooth was not the fastest war beast in the heaven realm, it should not be a problem for it to be ranked in the top 10. This kind of speed was actually not as fast as the enemy's Aurora. What made guild leader Yong Hui most unconvinced was that before the Aurora attack, he clearly saw that the woman had a casual action of condensing energy. But even so, it was still faster than his fast finger light tooth. This was simply unreasonable. Guild leader Yong Hui raised his hand, his index finger pointing at the enemy. He did not want to believe what he had just seen. His fast finger light tooth lost to the opponent in speed? No, it must be the enemy playing tricks. One more time, then the truth would be revealed. Aurora, City Master Fallen Flowers, and Yong Hui raised their hands at the same time. She did not take the first step. It was completely synchronized, and she also condensed the Aurora in 1/10 of a second. Originally, she could not be faster than the fast finger light tooth. However, a scene that made people sweat to death appeared. She, who had spent time condensing energy, blasted out the Aurora, but it was faster than the fast finger light tooth. Almost at the moment when Yong Hui's fast finger light tooth was released, the Aurora arrived. It sent guild leader Yong Hui flying. If City Master Fallen Flowers had the strength of Heaven Stage, or her Aurora Warbee's strength was equivalent to Heaven Stage, Yong Hui would have already fallen. There was no chance to dodge. no time to react, and Young Hui was hit head-on. Young Hui's entire life had been beating people up with speed. Fast Finger Light Tooth, even in the Heaven Realm, did not have any enemies. The only thing that could defeat Young Hui was not winning against the Fast Finger Light Tooth, but pure level suppression, pure strength suppression, ignoring the power of the Fast Finger Light Tooth, directly defeating Young Hui. He never dreamed that he would come to this Tong Tian Tower that had fallen to the point where there was only one Heaven Stage left and be beaten by a woman of Earth Stage Level 4 without the strength to fight back. This kind of thing, not to mention outsiders, even he himself could not believe it. Impossible. This is impossible. The spirit of radiance behind guild leader Young Hui easily healed the wounds on his body. Moreover, as a peak 4th level Heaven Stage, he could almost ignore the aurora of the City Lord of Fallen Flowers. But the problem was that he couldn't accept such a blow. That feeling was like a titan being chased away by a dwarf, or like a giant dragon being beaten up by a little worm until the fallen flowers ran away. Young Hui was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He raised his hand and wanted to scold the City Lord of Fallen Flowers. Unexpectedly, she thought he was going to attack again, and the third aurora burst out. The tragic guild leader Young Hui was blasted into the air and fell onto the water. The trio of Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil in the Sky were so scared that their jaws dropped to the ground and their eyes bulged out like zombies. Was the person who was tortured to the point that his hair was like a chicken's nest really Young Hui? Was it really the guild leader Young Hui who had beaten the three of them without a chance to fight back? The three of them looked at each other and swallowed their saliva in fear. It was terrible. Not only was the Yu family's third young master abnormal, but the people around him were also abnormal. Just now, this woman did not appear on the battlefield over there. If she appeared, she would not be able to cover her bones. It would not be the unlucky Young Hui, but the three of them. Surrendering to the Yu family's third young master was really wise. Heavy Crown and the others were still a little dissatisfied. They felt that as 3 Heaven Stage, it was a little shameful to surrender to an Earth Stage, but now that little bit of pride had long since disappeared. God knows how many abnormal masters this Yu family's third young master had with him. Any sky law was enough to give them a headache. And now there was an unknown flowery woman. So it's like this. Guild leader Young Hui now saw it clearly. The woman's Aurora Beast was completely different from his own Fast Finger Light Tooth. There was a time limit in the attack process of Fast Finger Light Tooth. Although it was fast, it was within 1 second. In other words, it needed time to shoot, but it was too fast and kept accelerating. Ordinary enemies could not react at all. However, that Aurora didn't have any time limit. It was a thought. From the beginning of the woman's attack to his body, there was no time, not even 0. 1 second, it arrived immediately. So the speed of Fast Finger Light Tooth was not as fast as that Aurora. Another point was to raise his hand to attack. Guild leader Young Hui found that his attack had to be aimed at the enemy. There was nothing wrong with doing this, but compared to that woman, it was as natural as breathing, as instinctive as a heartbeat. They were not at the same level. Perhaps that woman had already practiced tens of thousands of times in order to reach this level where she didn't need to aim or raise her hand. She could directly attack based on instinct. If he had the chance to return to the Heaven Realm, he must also practice thousands of times and turn the Fast Finger Light Tooth into a light tooth that could be used without Fast Finger. Young Hui regretted it. He regretted that he didn't understand this simple truth until today. It was certain that Fast Finger Light Tooth was stronger than that Aurora. However, the owner of Aurora was thousands of times better than the owner of Fast Finger Light Tooth in terms of summoning and control. It wasn't a problem with Fast Finger Light Tooth. In this battle, he was defeated by the owner. If it was the other way around, and the woman used Fast Finger Light Tooth, Young Hui believed that he would have been killed in seconds. When he thought of this, he broke out in cold sweat. Ow! The black smoke-horn dragon suddenly attacked in the smoke, and its long tongue of flame spewed towards the City Lord of Fallen Flowers. Originally, Young Hui thought that the City Lord of Fallen Flowers would use Aurora to blast away his war beast, but the change in the battle made him widen his eyes in disbelief. A half-fox and half-human little fox girl flashed in front of the city lord of fallen flowers. Her slender arm moved cleverly, just like the little golden-eyed monster used water to create a whirlpool to drown the evil spider. But the movement was more ingenious, the technique was more brilliant, and both the movement and the strength were perfect. The flame spewed out by the black smoke-horn dragon allowed her to use the airflow of space to turn into an arc, and after a skillful turn, it shot back to the huge head of the black smoke-horn dragon with a bang. The black smoke-horn dragon stared in disbelief with its pair of dragon eyes, as if it couldn't believe that the flames it spewed out would burn itself. It was enraged. A little fox girl, who didn't even have 1% of its strength, dared to provoke it. The black smoke-horn dragon spewed out a cloud of black smoke, and its body became invisible, ready to attack the enemy in the smoke. Yong Hui, who was on the water, saw the enemy's calm appearance, and his heart screamed. Without waiting for him to warn the black smoke-horn dragon, he suddenly saw the beautiful little fox girl smile, as if she saw a big fool playing a stupid trick that even a 3-year-old child wouldn't fall for. The snow-white tail behind her little but gently swayed. Her hands drew in the sky, like a painter painting. Everyone smelled a burst of fragrance. It was refreshing. The black smoke that could cover the sky suddenly began to deform, turning into black flowers, as if the fragrance was emitted by these black flowers. The black smoke-horn dragon, which was invisible just now, instantly broke the invisibility, let out a painful howl, and appeared in the sky. The black smoke-horn dragon seemed to hate the black smoke that had turned into black flowers and quickly moved away. With anger, it fled back to its master, until it spat out thick smoke again to cover its body. The skin that had begun to fester under the sun returned to normal. Zhongguan and the others understood that the black smoke-horn dragon was very powerful, but it was afraid of the sun and couldn't lose the protection of the black smoke. Once it lost the protection, its skin would fester. The little fox girl took advantage of this and easily drove away the powerful black smoke-horn dragon. The battle between the city lord of fallen flowers and guild leader Yong Hui, whether it was the master or the war beast, they were both better. What they lacked was time. As long as they had enough time to practice, they could defeat the strong of Heaven's stage. If that's all, you think you could defeat me, then you're wrong, very wrong. Guild leader Yong Hui's face restored the pride of the strong of Heaven's stage. That's right, he was a strong of Heaven stage level 4. Even if the speed of Swiftfinger Lighttooth was not as fast as Aurora, and the black smoke-horn dragon couldn't fight against a little fox girl, it didn't mean that the opponent could defeat him, a Heaven stage. With the power of the opponent's Aurora, even without the Spirit of Radiance's super healing, just the defense of Heaven stage level 4 was not something she could shake. Ah, if you think that I can't beat you because you're a Heaven stage, then you're wrong, very wrong. Yu Yang returned the original sentence. The city lord of fallen flowers couldn't beat Yong Hui, but it didn't mean that he couldn't. As soon as he finished speaking, he flashed behind guild leader Yong Hui. Zhongguan closed his eyes. He, who had the shadow shift ability, couldn't avoid Yu Yang's movement technique. Yong Hui had already lost. However, guild leader Yong Hui obviously didn't think so. He turned around and stared coldly at Yu Yang, and sneered contemptuously. Your movement technique is not bad, but what's the use? Can you hit me? Use your Nirvana Flame. Use your world-exterminating wheel to hit me. Can you? This water world is full of the law of forbidding martial arts and law of forbidding war. Even if I don't resist, you can't touch me. With your strength, with your war beast, you want to defeat me, who is at the peak of Heaven stage level 4. Even if I stick my face out, you can't do anything to me. Papa! Yu Yang gave him 2 slaps in the face. Although he wasn't hurt at all, this kind of collision was not a blow and was not stopped by the law of forbidding martial arts. Guild leader Yong Hui was stunned at first, and then became furious. He wanted to return a few heavy punches and a few slaps to Yu Yang, but the attack with killing intent and energy was stopped by the law of forbidding martial arts, which made him even more angry. Unless he dispersed his energy, eliminated his killing intent, and casually swept his hand across Yu Yang's face, it was possible to hit him. Obviously, Yu Yang wouldn't give him this chance. Huh! Yu Yang slapped him again before he could even throw out his fist. Zhongguan saw that Yang Hui was so humiliated by Yu Yang, and his heart was filled with hatred and shame. The hatred was vented because this Yang Hui had just beaten the three of them up, and now seeing Yu Yang slap him in the face, he felt really good. The shame was that he came from the heaven realm with this guy, and they used to be teammates. Now he was slapped by Yu Yang, and he felt like he was being slapped in the face. In short, his mood was very complicated. Guild leader Yang Hui was furious, and the black smoke-horn dragon immediately vented for its master. It opened its huge mouth and crazily tried to bite Yu Yang. Just as it was about to bite Yu Yang, a foot appeared and kicked the black smoke-horn dragon 100 meters away. It crashed into the water with a boom, causing the black smoke-horn dragon to be in a sorry state. Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He too covered their faces. Without looking, they knew who it was. It was the female barbarian cow who had the power of Titan and the heart of Earth. Huh! As soon as a man came out, Yu Yang added a giant shadow for her. She punched heavily and hit guild leader Yang Hui's chest. Get lost. Guild leader Yang Hui wanted to reach out and take it. Little Wenli flashed, and her binding talent instantly froze his movements. A man was not polite, and her fist hit guild leader Yang Hui's chest like a meteor. Guild leader Yang Hui was worthy of being a peak 4th level heaven stage expert. Once he regained his freedom, he immediately activated his protective chi and directly shook off a man's heavy fist. With a little hoarse and a little arrogant, he snorted at Yu Yang. You want to hit me with such little strength? It's nothing. The spirit of radiance floating behind guild leader Yang Hui also immediately healed his internal injuries and recovered to his original state. With Yang Hui's defense and the super healing power of the spirit of radiance, even if a man threw 1,000 punches, she probably wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Yu Yang smiled and asked Yang Hui, is that so? He added a giant shadow to Ah Man, and Ah Man cooperated with Little One Li's binding talent, and the second heavy punch. This punch was twice as powerful as the previous one, and guild leader Yang Hui was a little overwhelmed. Fortunately, there was the spirit of radiance, which healed him in time and restored his body to its original state. When he saw Yu Yang add the giant shadow to Ah Man for the 3rd time, he suddenly felt a little weak in his legs. If this kid continued to buff like this, he wouldn't be able to bear it. Zhongguan and the others had no face to watch anymore. Yang Hui's strength was good, but compared with Yu Yang, the abnormal 3rd young master of the Yu family, he was still far behind. He wanted to fight against Yu Yang. There was only one result, and that was looking for abuse. Huh! A man, who was blessed with 10 giant shadows, was so scared that Yang Hui almost peed his pants, but he couldn't escape. Because no matter where he fled, Yu Yang followed him like a shadow, and was one step ahead of him in the direction he was going to retreat. Guild leader Yang Hui found that he had fled for a long time, but only escaped less than half a meter. As long as his body moved more than half a meter, he would be blocked by the 3rd young master of the Yu family, whose speed was even faster than the fast finger light tooth. He couldn't make a move, but he could use his body to block himself. Guild leader Yang Hui never dreamed that under the restriction of the prohibition of martial arts, there would be such a fighting method. Let's get punched together. Guild leader Yang Hui sneered. As long as his body touched Yu Yang's body, he could reduce the power of the punch by more than half. His idea was to let Yu Yang enjoy the heavy punch of the female barbarian cow. Only Yu Yang's body was punched. It would be strange if he didn't fall down. Yang Hui's idea was beautiful. However, in fact, it was impossible to achieve. When guild leader Yang Hui intended to hit Yu Yang with his body, he found that the 3rd young master of the Yu family had disappeared. Originally, if he moved less than half a meter, he would be stopped by Yu Yang. He flew out like a cannonball. Only then did he realize that he was fooled. Yu Yang deliberately stopped him just to borrow his strength. This was a trap. He suddenly roared. You are so cunning, Yu Yang put his hand on his forehead and made a gesture of looking into the distance, and shouted exaggeratedly, "Look, there is Meteor Ash." Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil, who were watching the battle, all fainted and fell into the water. Chapter 648. Guild leader Yong Hui was hit by a heavy punch and fell hundreds of meters into the water. His sternum cracked, and his heart almost stopped beating. But he didn't use his own energy to heal himself, and habitually handed over the healing of internal injuries to the Spirit of Radiance. He believed that as long as there was the Spirit of Radiance, no matter how serious the injury was, it could be easily recovered. Not to mention the heart injury. Even if the entire internal organs were broken and the body was broken to the waist, the Spirit of Radiance could use its powerful healing power to quickly save himself. He had the Spirit of Radiance, which was equivalent to having an immortal body. What made Yong Hui feel strange was that it was different from usual. It didn't take a second for the Spirit of Radiance to recover from his injury. Now, after nearly half a minute, why was there still no movement? Guild leader Yong Hui rushed out of the water, looking for the Spirit of Radiance, but when he saw the scene in front of him, he was stunned. The Spirit of Radiance that had been automatically floating behind him now stayed in the sky. She, who was illusory, emitted a brilliant brilliance. She, who had used a secret technique to wash away all her memories and consciousness, was now crying. Her originally lifeless eyes gradually regained their spirit. Countless black gas emerged from her white and shining illusory body and dissipated in the pure brilliance of Little Wen Li's soft hand. The Spirit of Radiance bathed in the white light, although the whole image was still illusory, but below the waist, gradually returned to the original angel form, and the brilliance in her eyes gradually became frightened, as if remembering some horrible memories. The Spirit of Radiance suddenly screamed with her hands on her head, because there was no physical body, there was no sound at all. However, her fear could infect everyone around her. Guild leader Yong Hui felt that things were not good. Quickly desummon. Although there had never been a precedent of the Spirit of Radiance's betrayal since ancient times, the eyes were too strange, and he was a little scared. At the moment of desummon, Yong Hui felt that the Spirit of Radiance, who had a firm contract with him, seemed to be reminded by his own desummon, recovered from the fear, and looked up at him. The Spirit of Radiance's pupils dilated. She seemed to remember something and was a little confused. However, almost instinctively, she chose to betray and break away from the contract with Captain Yong Hui. Bathed in the white light, her body rushed straight into the sky, trembling as she fled, as if everyone around her was her enemy. "I'll kill you." Captain Yong Hui went completely crazy. Watching helplessly as his Spirit of Radiance terminated the contract, he felt extremely heartbroken. This kind of heartache exceeded the pain of the female barbarian bull's heavy punch. The Spirit of Radiance that he had painstakingly bought was actually dispelled by the little Lamia Loli's white light and restored her memory. 60 million gold worth of radiant spirit had always been a priceless existence in the heaven realm. Many people wanted to buy it, but they couldn't. He didn't expect that his 60 million would be gone with just a flash of white light. Without thinking, Yong Hui pointed at Little Wen Li. "Quick finger fong. Fire." If he didn't kill this little snake demon Loli, he wouldn't be able to vent the hatred in his heart. If the loss of the sunny sunflower had already made him go berserk, now the betrayal of the Spirit of Radiance was simply killing him. Even if he killed this little snake demon Loli, it would be difficult to quell the anger in his heart. Captain Yong Hui not only wanted to kill the Yu clan's third young master, but also wanted to whip the corpse and grind the bones into ashes. In the face of the quick finger fong, Little Wen Li calmly took out a crystal ball. This colorful crystal ball, not to mention outsiders, even Yu Yang, the master who knew her best, saw her use it for the first time. As soon as the crystal ball came out, the sky was filled with brilliance. Even the light of the sunny sunflower, which was close to the sun, was easily suppressed by the brilliance. Although the brilliance was very bright, it was not dazzling. The original quick finger fong, in this brilliance, was like a fish in a torrent, getting slower and slower, and finally almost at the speed of snail. In the sky, the light that fell from the sunny sunflower was the same. In front of this brilliance, the black smoke-horn dragon that had fiercely pounced on little one Lee let out a burst of miserable howls. Its body seemed to be burning, its skin was constantly festering, and the smoke could no longer protect its body. The black smoke-horn dragon fled into the water at a speed 10 times faster than when it came, temporarily hiding in the deep water to protect itself, not daring to come out for a long time. Little one Lee's 6 little arms were beautifully changing different postures, like leading, like sending, like catching, like hugging. Beautiful beyond compare. She seemed to be doing some kind of special sealing ceremony. This kind of sealing ceremony, even Yu Yang had never seen before. Could it be that this little guy had recovered the memory of her previous life? Was she really not the daughter of himself and Queen Vivian Lee, but some personal guard captain? Yu Yang was puzzled, but he was too lazy to find out. No matter what her previous life was like, now, she was his baby. Not a daughter, but more than a daughter. The brilliance that filled the sky was miraculously condensed and folded by little one Lee. Space was also distorted. Countless lights were all sealed by little one Lee into her crystal ball, including the quick finger fong beast, which was also forcibly sucked in without any resistance. Only the spirit of radiance, which hid in a very high altitude, hurriedly restrained the faint light emitted from its body, was spared from this sealing process. Of course, it was also possible that little one Lee let it go. All the light was sealed by her, and the whole water world actually became a ball of darkness. After a long time, the water world gradually recovered under the illumination of the sunny sunflower. Faced with this kind of seal, Captain Bai Ma's infernal nightmare and Hei Tu's evil spider were so scared that they trembled. Even if little one Lee did not seal them, but Young Huey's quick finger fong, they could not resist the fear in their hearts, hid behind their master, and trembled. Heavy Crown by Ma, Hei Tu, Young Hui, and the others had never seen this kind of seal. They had heard that the super strong of Heaven's stage had the power to seal life, but no one had seen it with their own eyes. Today, they finally saw it. The problem was, this little snake demon Loli was not a super strong of Heaven's stage at all. She didn't even seem to have the strength of Heaven's stage. How could she seal the light fong? The most unacceptable thing was that she was a guardian beast in her infancy. Almost in an instant, Captain Yong Hui and the others understood. Divine beast. Except for divine beast, no other war beast had such a strong will, such outstanding wisdom, and such amazing ability. No, don't. Guild leader Yong Hui was so anxious that he almost wanted to commit suicide. The Sunshine Sunflower was gone. The spirit of radiance had betrayed the master, and now the quick finger fong was sealed by the other party. What did he have left? He rushed up crazily, wanting to attack little Wen Li with his fist, but the law forbidding martial arts and the law of forbidding war made his fist unable to move. Little Wen Li raised her head and stared at guild leader Yong Hui with her cold eyes. This was not a binding talent, but pressure. A supreme divine beast will invaded guild leader Yong Hui's soul, causing him to be in a state of fear. His raised fist loosened under little Wen Li's gaze, trembled and drooped down, retreating little by little, for fear that little Wen Li would reach out and kill him. At this moment, little Wen Li was no longer a war beast that he despised, but a supreme divine beast, a divine beast with the power to kill all living beings. If it wasn't for Yong Hui's strength at the peak of the 4th level of Heaven's stage, and his firm will, if it was someone else, he would have been scared to the point of kneeling in front of little Wen Li. Fortunately, this was still a young divine beast. If it was an adult divine beast, its power would have reached its peak, and he would have been killed. Guild leader Yong Hui retreated 100 meters, and he found that his whole body was soaked in cold sweat. In his heart, there had never been such a strong shadow of death. For the first time in his life, he found himself so eager to survive and so afraid of death, so scary. Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and Hei Tu, They were also sweating. It turned out that this little snake demon Loli did not use her true strength at all. She was the same as Clan's third young master, hiding very deeply. If she really exerted the power of a divine beast, all the enemies who underestimated her would all die. I still have an important thing to do. You guys take your time to talk. Yu Yang opened his arms and hugged little Wen Li, who was flying back with a smile, and gave this cute little baby a heavy kiss as a reward. Little Wen Li hugged Yu Yang's arm, and the majesty of a divine beast disappeared. Instead, she was like a well-behaved daughter acting coquettishly in her father's arms. The smile on her little face was extremely brilliant. City Lord Fallen Flowers also gave her a kiss and stroked little Wen Li's head to show her inner love. Yu Yang took little Wen Li and Aman and held City Lord Fallen Flowers in one hand. Heading southwest, they soon disappeared into the distance. As soon as he left, Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu smiled and surrounded guild leader Yonghui. We are all from the Heaven Realm. Why can't we have a good talk? Maybe we can join hands to deal with you Clan's third young master. I don't have any grudges with you. Maybe we can cooperate. Guild leader Yonghui felt that something was wrong. If he still had Fast Finger Light Tooth, if Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu dare to fight again, they would be looking for trouble. Without Sunny, Sunflower, and Spirit of Radiance to protect your body, and without Fast Finger Light Tooth to bully others, I'm very curious. Why didn't you talk to us before you lost your war beasts, or cooperate? Zhongguan asked directly. Of course we can talk. When we have enough, we can start talking. Bai Ma's Heaven Realm Flame Horse was almost killed, and the anger in his heart was not over yet. It's useless to say more. He Tu was the most direct, and immediately ordered the evil spider to attack. Do you think I will be afraid of the three of you? Guild leader Yonghui was angry. Since they had fallen out, then everyone would be in trouble. He didn't have the Sunny Sunflower, Spirit of Radiance, and Fast Finger Light Tooth, but he wasn't a soft persimmon that could be easily pinched. No matter what, he was still a peak Heaven Stage Level 4 powerhouse. It would be too shameful to be scared off by 3 Heaven Stage Level 2 powerhouses. Not everyone in the world was as abnormal as Clan's third young master. Want to fight? Who's afraid of who? Guild leader Yonghui ordered the black smoke horn dragon to counterattack while summoning the golden-eyed and silver-horned little monster. With this smart little thing, what tricks did the enemy's war beast want to play? It was impossible. Who knew that, just as guild leader Yonghui summoned the golden-eyed and silver-horned little monster, it instantly chose to betray, turned into a green rainbow, and chased after Yu Yang from afar, not knowing if it was seeking Yu Yang's protection or planning to rely on him. Guild leader Yonghui was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that in the end. A war beast that was too smart was really unreliable. Fortunately, the stupid black smoke horn dragon didn't betray him. Otherwise, he would have committed suicide immediately. Ha ha. Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu were stunned at first, and then laughed so hard that they almost couldn't stand in the sky, and almost fell into the water. Guild leader Yonghui, don't you have many war beasts? Aren't you arrogant? From being the richest in the world to having nothing in just one day, let's see how arrogant you could be now. They estimated that Clan's third young master had important things to do now. If not, the tragedy of guild leader Yonghui would not be over. As a guild leader, he should have treasures on him, right? Zhongguan and the others didn't think that Yu Yang would be so kind that he would let go of the treasures on guild leader Yonghui. Chapter 649, Waterworld. On the surface of the water, 100 nautical miles away from the ancient transmission array, Yu Yang stopped. He let City Lord Fallen Flower stand where she was, and he patrolled the sky and finally landed, nodding to Little Wen Li. Little Wen Li also nodded and summoned Stone Element Medusa, Storm Mermaid, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon. Storm Mermaid blew the storm horn. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and the water surface was set off stormy waves. A huge whirlpool appeared on the surface of the water. It spun faster and faster, deeper and deeper. In the end, All the water in the whirlpool was moved to the periphery by Storm Mermaid, relying on the power of the whirlpool. A concave water, whole hundreds of meters deep, was cut in the water surface. Even Zhong Guan and the others, who were hundreds of miles away, couldn't help but stop when they saw the change in the sky. They looked at this side in surprise, not understanding what Yu Yang was doing. Holding City Lord Fallen Flowers, Yu Yang slowly floated down from the waterhole of the huge whirlpool. The surrounding water, like a cliff, allowed the power of the whirlpool to rotate outward. In the middle, there was a huge space with a diameter of 100 meters. After reaching a depth of 500 meters, an object submerged in the water gradually emerged from the water surface. It was the spire of a high tower. The water gradually disappeared, and a huge black tower appeared in front of Yu Yang and City Lord Fallen Flowers. "Come out." Yu Yang snorted coldly at the air. "Hey, where did you find me?" There was a surprised voice, strangely transmitted in the transparent space, and finally, a shadow appeared on the spire of the black tower. This shadow was the mysterious cloaked shadow that intercepted Yu Yang before. Everyone didn't need to guess. They all knew that he was the soul carrier of the ancient Demon King. Why did he appear here? Could it be that he had entered this water world before Yu Yang? Yu Yang looked at the mysterious shadow who still had his back to him and did not reveal his true appearance. Of course, he was not willing to say that he had the Heaven Eye's divine vision. He only smiled and tried to bluff. "I'm just guessing. How could you be absent from such an important place? Although I don't know if you're here or not, but when I tried, you jumped out impatiently." "Huh." The cloaked figure clapped his hands and laughed. "You clan's third young master, you are indeed smart. There were not many people in the world who could guess that there was more than one ancient seal in the water world, and there were even fewer people who could find it. What surprises me the most is that you actually knew I was here. TSK, TSK, even I can't help but admire your brain. You're really smart. Then, Smart Yu Clan's third young master, can you guess where this place is?" Yu Yang shook his head. "I can't guess, but I think you'll say it." The shadow felt strange and asked, "Why do I have to say it?" At this time, Yu Yang looked up to the sky and pretended to be I'm a wise man. He rested his chin on his hand and pretended to think, for a person like you, if you do something that you're proud of and don't say it, you'll definitely feel uncomfortable. So, you'll definitely say it. Besides, if you're not proud of yourself and want to show off in front of me, why would you take the risk of being discovered by me and stay here?" The shadow was silent for a while, then burst into a crazy laughter. He clapped his hands and praised. "That's right, as expected of you Clan's third young master. Your words really hit the bottom of my heart. It's really interesting to have an opponent like you. To be honest, you're much better than that mute prison emperor. I think highly of you. If I let you fully mature, you'll really be a terrifying opponent. You Clan's third young master, since you know that I did something here, why did you come? Do you know whose tomb is sealed here?" "Whose tomb is it?" City Mistress Fallen Flowers held Yu Yang's hand and asked, bearing the mental pressure emitted by the shadow together with him. "His name is Peerless." The shadow said a name that Yu Yang and City Mistress Fallen Flowers didn't know. "I don't know." Yu Yang shook his head and said honestly, "It's not strange that you don't know him, because he's not a ranker of this era." The shadow suddenly described enthusiastically, "In Tong Tian Tower, there have been countless experts. In this era, the more famous ones are Demon Abyss First Conqueror Empress Fei Wen Li, Soaring Dragon Continent's Prison Emperor Zhan Feng, Heaven Stairway's Sleeping Princess Yi Ming. One level lower, there's Tianlun, Qian Yi, Wu Sei, and one level lower, there's the Scarlet Emperor and the others. The ones you know, like Black Hell King and Thousand Goblin King, are the weakest existences among the true rankers. As long as I wanted to, I could instantly kill them at any time. Of course, if I did this kind of thing too much, it would let some of the old ghosts who were traveling outside know about it. It would be a little troublesome. Once I provoked those old ghosts, even an existence as strong as the Conquest Queen Fei Wenli would be sealed. So, little guy, don't think that killing your way to Heaven Realm is a good thing. The more famous you are, the more you kill, the more dangerous it is. Unless you could defy the heavens and become a god, and have the qualifications to fight against those old ghosts, you'll always be a struggling ant, just a little bigger than others. Ha ha. This Peerless, is he the kind of old ghost you're talking about? Yu Yang's face darkened slightly as he asked. Oh no, don't misunderstand. The shadow denied. Then he's your ally? City Mistress Fallen Flowers guessed a little. We can barely be called allies. His attitude toward me isn't very good, but he's not an enemy either. This guy, Peerless, is more aloof and arrogant. He has a bit of the smelly airs and bad temper of a strong person. His personality is also more stubborn, different from the easygoing me. The shadow sighed with nostalgia. If his personality wasn't so unruly, how could he have been sealed in this water world for tens of thousands of years? Tens of thousands of years. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was speechless when she heard this. Why was it that whenever she met an old ghost, it would be tens of thousands of years? I'm not too sure when he was sealed, because I was sealed a lot earlier than him. However, I believe that it was at least 30,000 years. Although this guy is a human from the soaring dragon continent, he is the first emperor to truly unify the demon abyss. It was also because of him that the various races in the demon abyss had the chance to truly rise. Compared to him, the conquest Empress Faye, Wan Li was one era later. If Peerless was not sealed, how could there be a conquest empress who swept across the heaven realm? How could there be the Baruth and Ha-Xin of today? Those demon kings are simply not even worthy to be his coachmen. The shadow laughed strangely. He pointed to the black tower under his feet and laughed. You clan's third young master. How about this? Let's make a deal. As long as you tell me where my body is hidden, I will let the first generation Peerless Emperor of the Demon Abyss continue to sleep. Peerless Emperor? Peerless is the Peerless Emperor? Yu Yang was shocked after hearing this. If it was a powerhouse from the Demon Abyss, or a powerhouse like Tianlin, Qin Yi, and Wu Sei, Yu Yang didn't know any of them. However, in the memory inheritance of the pitiful guy's mother, even if there were no neatly arranged memory chains, there was a very clear and deep memory of a name, and that was Peerless Emperor. In the memory inheritance of the pitiful guy's mother, there were at least 10 ways to deal with the Peerless Emperor. However, these 10 ways were not the best way. Even the pitiful guy's mother couldn't think of the best way to deal with the Peerless Emperor. However, she repeatedly studied this Peerless Emperor. It could be said that even the ancient Demon King didn't have this kind of memory. Yu Yang didn't know what this Peerless Emperor had done, but after going through the Heaven Stairway's Waterworld seal, he knew one thing. The Peerless Emperor must have been sealed by a Heaven Stairway powerhouse. Moreover, this guy wasn't completely sealed, so it was very likely that he had escaped. Otherwise, the pitiful guy's mother wouldn't have studied a way to deal with him. Have you heard of the Peerless Emperor? The shadow was a little surprised by Yu Yang's reaction. Ah, I heard Mo Long mention it. Yu Yang was thick-skinned again and used Mo Long's name to scare people. Mo Long? You know Mo Long? The shadow was intimidated by Yu Yang's words. His cloaked body trembled slightly. Obviously, he knew Mo Long. You don't know him? I'll introduce you next time. Although Mo Long is a wretched middle-aged uncle, his personality is very easygoing like you. You two are like-minded. Maybe you can become gay friends. Oh, no friends. Yu Yang laughed. Mo Long has been sealed. Without the supreme dragon god to unseal it, no one can save him. If you want to use him to pressure me, you're making a big mistake. The shadow sneered. Same here. If you want to use the Peerless Emperor to pressure me, it's not a smart move. Yu Yang returned the sentence. Tit for tat. Whether it was words or momentum, they were no weaker than the mysterious shadow. The tense atmosphere that the shadow painstakingly created was diluted by Mo Long. It turned out that he wanted to take the opportunity to pressure Yu Yang. He didn't expect Yu Yang to resolve it so easily. He couldn't help but sigh. You are indeed a strong opponent. You clan's third young master, we still have a chance to fight. Don't worry. Let's see if you grow faster or if I recover faster. Tong Tian Tower only has one true ruler. Let's see if it belongs to me or you. The shadow lost his move and didn't bother him anymore. His figure turned into a wisp of smoke. Disappeared. Even with Yu Yang's current heaven eyes divine vision, he couldn't catch his trace. Yu Yang closed his eyes and carefully sensed his surroundings. After a long time, he nodded to City Mistress Fallen Flowers. He left. This guy also has a treasure to travel through space, or some kind of skill to travel through the void. He's really a troublesome opponent. City Mistress Fallen Flowers held Yu Yang's hand and comforted him softly. Don't worry, we can't do anything to him for the time being. He also can't hurt us. He did so much just to test us. If he had the confidence, he would have made a move long ago. Why do you have to play such small tricks? He left the water world for a long time, which proves that his ability to travel through space is flawed. Otherwise, why would he need to come in earlier, and why would he need to travel so far to teleport away? I understand what you said. Yu Yang nodded solemnly. However, if the ancient Demon King really released the Peerless Emperor, it's definitely not a good thing. I don't know how strong the Prison Emperor is, but I can be sure that the Peerless Emperor is definitely stronger than the Prison Emperor. This Peerless Emperor is probably only one step away from the legendary god. If the Peerless Emperor was so strong, the ancient Demon King wouldn't have released him. City Mistress Fallen Flowers analyzed. Of course not now, but if he had no hope, he would definitely disregard everything. Yu Yang thought for a while. Previously, I had a bad premonition. At first, I thought it was because of the ancient Demon King, but now it seems that it should be because of the Peerless Emperor. I also have the same feeling. I thought it was an illusion. Princess Sisai came out and nodded in agreement. If that's the case, let's go to the Black Tower to take a look. Shui Wuxia's face was full of determination. I think this is a good thing. Maybe it's an opportunity to improve. If we don't train, how can we fight against the ancient Demon King? If we can't even pass the sealed Peerless Emperor, how can we talk about advancing into the Heaven Realm? The heart of a sovereign is to look down on all living beings. Even if they're the ancient Demon King or the Peerless Emperor, they're just one of the living beings. Not only Yu Yang, but we are also the same. If we want to grow, we must have this kind of awareness. Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers were shocked by Shui Wuxia's serious expression. Using this to comprehend the heart of a sovereign, Yu Yang closed his eyes and pondered for a while. His expression became firm. He clenched his fist and waved it. Let's enter the tower. Let's see what kind of person the prehistoric Peerless Emperor is. Yes, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and City Mistress Fallen Flowers answered in unison. No matter what, they would always be his strongest support. Since the day they met, from then on, they would follow each other through life and death. Chapter 650, Waterworld, Black Tower. In the beginning, everyone thought that entering this Black Tower required some kind of condition, such as using some treasure or energy crystal. Who knew that this was not the case at all? Outside the Black Tower, there was an endless water world, but inside the door of the Black Tower, it was an extremely dry space. There was not a drop of water inside, and there was a faint heat, as if approaching a volcano. Yu Yang, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and City Lord Fallen Flowers, the four walked into the Black Tower without any obstacles. As if walking into their own home, it was so easy that Yu Yang and the three women were stunned. There was a very gentle, special energy inside the Black Tower. Like wind, it was completely harmless to Yu Yang and the others. It was extremely gentle. When Yu Yang entered the Black Tower, it also expelled the water from Yu Yang's body, so that he was dry as soon as he entered the tower. Why were there two different worlds inside and outside? If there was no need for water inside the tower, then why set up such a huge water world outside? This Black Tower sealed the Peerless Emperor. Then where was the Peerless Emperor? It was so easy to enter the Black Tower. Why didn't the Peerless Emperor take the opportunity to escape? The inside of the Black Tower was very huge. On the wall, there were many ancient words and pictures. All of them described the war of ancient experts. Among them, a man with black hair and purple eyes, burning with flames, appeared the most. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia guessed that this man was the peerless emperor. These murals were the records of the peerless emperor's life. If it was only described by these murals, then this peerless emperor was indeed a very terrifying expert. With a wave of his hand, he could turn the surroundings into hell. Not to mention the peak power in his heyday. Even if the peerless emperor could still maintain 1% of his strength after waking up, he was still a super existence that no one could contend with. Entering the tower, in the middle of the tower, there was a huge hall, and in the middle of the hall was a high crystal pillar. It was at least 1,000 meters high, and the diameter of the crystal pillar was 100 meters. It was full of colorful light, straight to the top of the tower. This was the energy crystal pillar that had suppressed Emperor Wu Shuang. This was also the tallest and largest energy crystal pillar that Yu Yang had ever seen. Compared to this crystal pillar, the difference between other crystal pillars was like the difference between a meteorite and a star. They were not on the same level at all. With this crystal pillar, even if the ancient demon king wants to do something, I'm afraid he won't be able to. City Lord Fallen Flowers heaved a sigh of relief and smiled comfortably. This crystal pillar is indeed not something that could be destroyed by humans. Princess Sisai nodded. If humans can't destroy it, why did the ancient devil king come here? Shui Wuxia asked. Yu Yang was temporarily unable to answer. Moreover, he knew that no matter how many crystal pillars there were, they would not be the strongest seal. The most powerful seal was the black hole seal, the one that sealed Queen Vivian Li. In that kind of black hole seal, any sealer would not be able to obtain any energy. Instead, they would be constantly weakened. In that kind of seal, no one could escape by any means. Only the black hole seal was the true and absolutely unbreakable eternal seal. The black hole seal was called Nirvana seal. Not only could it seal people, but it was also said that it could even seal gods. Of course, to be able to use such a huge crystal pillar to seal, although it was not as powerful as the black hole seal of Nirvana seal, Emperor Wu Shuang was definitely not a simple character. This guy's strength was obviously much more terrifying than what Yu Yang had imagined. Perhaps there was no need to face Emperor Wu Shuang today, because it was not the time for Emperor Wu Shuang to be unsealed. But what about in the future? Yu Yang believed that no matter how big the crystal pillar was, there would be a day when it collapsed. Emperor Wu Shuang would definitely return to the world. This was for sure. It was because of the existence of such a strong enemy that the ancient demon king was so anxious to take back his body and restore his peak strength. Not only Yu Yang, but even the ancient demon king was probably a little afraid of the awakening of Emperor Wu Shuang. No one would like the awakening of such a powerful king. The appearance of Emperor Wu Shuang was equivalent to another competitor for the treasures of the gods' ruins. They searched again. The quintet, seeking golden mice, found a hidden enchantment. Inside the enchantment, there was a spiral staircase leading down. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia walked hundreds of meters and found another hall. The hall was full of sealing power. The color of blood, forbidding martial arts, and forbidding martial arts were at their greatest power here. In the empty space in the middle of the hall, the quintet, seeking golden mice, found another enchantment. After Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia entered, they found a blood-red teleportation door inside. Entering again, they came to a pure black world. There was no light inside. There was only a seal. This black world was a bit like a black hole, but it did not have that kind of suction, only endless sealing power. This kind of sealing power did not seem to be strong, but it could not be resisted. Anyone who wanted to surpass this sealing power would immediately be suppressed thousands of times. This state was a bit like a person carrying a stone. Once he wanted to throw the stone away, he would be punished thousands of times more seriously. Inside the black world, it was unknown how vast it was. Perhaps it was 1,000 kilometers. The peerless Emperor Wu Shuang was sealed here. Yu Yang frowned slightly. Although this kind of seal was powerful, it was much worse than Queen Vivian Li's seal. If it was Queen Vivian Li who was sealed in this place, he believed that she would have broken free long ago. Could Emperor Wu Shuang have broken free and left? This thought just emerged in Yu Yang's mind. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai looked in the same direction in the darkness almost at the same time. They did not see anything suspicious, but their natural sharp intuition and 6 records talent allowed them to discover that there were unknown creatures approaching from this direction. City Mistress Fallen Flowers leaned towards Yu Yang. She looked in another direction, indicating that there were also unknown creatures approaching from another direction. Were they surrounded? Although Yu Yang was in danger now, he was very calm. He reached out and gently hugged City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Princess Sisai, and Shui Wuxia to comfort them. Little One Li, Bloody Queen Red, Barbarian Cow Shadow Aman, and Spirit of Heaven Fire were all summoned to protect him. I didn't expect that there would be 2 groups of guests today. Welcome, welcome. A sweet female voice rang out from the darkness in the distance. This voice made Yu Yang, Shui Wuxia, and Princess Sisai startled. Could Emperor Wu Shuang be a woman? It doesn't matter. No matter who the guests are, as long as they are guests, we will treat them well. Immediately after, another voice that sounded like the teeth of a skeleton colliding with each other rang out. So, there's a master here. Actually, we're just passing by. Yu Yang laughed when he heard that. I understand that young lovers want to find a quiet place to talk about love. In the past, I often did this too. The sweet voice replied with a smile. There's no hurry to talk about love. Since you are a couple, it doesn't matter if you talk later. Since you have come to our place, if you don't let us be the host and treat you well, when you leave, others will laugh at us for not being subordinates and embarrassing our master. We can't do this kind of thing. You must know that our master is the most hospitable and virtuous Emperor Wu Shuang in history. The strange voice that sounded like the clashing of skulls was getting closer and closer. When it was within 100 meters of Yu Yang could see clearly that it was a skeleton wearing a top hat, a luxurious brocade robe, and a staff of civilization. This skeleton was definitely not from the Bone Clan. He was human. However, he was already dead. It was purely the soul controlling the body, but it was still the same as when he was alive. This kind of control made Yu Yang's heart turn cold. Shui Wuxia suddenly bowed slightly to the other party and performed an innate etiquette. Senior, first of all, thank you for your hospitality. However, we are juniors and are not worthy of seniors' presence. In the dark sky, a jet-black thing came at an extremely fast speed. It landed on the skeleton's shoulder. When it opened its eyes, even the bold Princess Sisai was shocked. It turned out to be a crow. When it opened its tightly closed eyes, the spirituality in its eyes was like that of a human's. That pair of slightly burning red eyes could almost look straight into other people's hearts. Fortunately, this kind of gaze that made people feel very uncomfortable was only a glance, and the crow closed its eyes. It opened its mouth and said, "Don't worry. If we want to kill you, we won't even talk to you. Idiot, if you scare away the guests and cause them to be unable to talk, I will make you pay." The delicate female voice shouted. All right, I won't talk anymore." The crow really shut its mouth and did not make any more sounds. Yu Yang was sure that this crow was also not a beast. It was also a human. However, its body was already dead, and its soul was living in the crow's body. This kind of ability to fuse with living beings was not something that any ranker in Tong Tian Tower could achieve. The Black Hell King had to spend a lot of effort to find the most suitable body to change his body. However, this crow could easily live in the crow's body, and its power was not reduced at all. Yu Yang used his Heaven Eyes Divine Vision, but he still could not understand how this guy did it. If his Heaven Eyes Divine Vision was stronger, he might be able to do it. But now it was still impossible. May I ask for the 3 seniors' names? Because of the long history, Tong Tian Tower has changed greatly. We juniors are unable to lose our past history. Shui Wuxia bowed again, showing the posture of a junior paying respect to a senior. Tong Tian Tower losing its history is nothing strange. Moreover, history is written by the victors. How can losers like us have a good reputation? Let's not talk about our past names. Here, you can be called Earth. The old lady with the umbrella is called Se. And as for this stinky bird, you can call him Realm. The three of us are the servants of His Majesty, the unparalleled Emperor. The skeleton man answered Shui Wuxia's question with a strange tone. Extreme Earth, extreme beauty, impasse? Princess Sisai immediately reacted. This Earth, say, realm, was meaningless, but if it was combined with the unparalleled Emperor's surname, then it would be different. I don't dare to say that. When I tricked handsome guys to go on dates in the past, my looks were not bad. Even if I can't be compared to you, a little girl with a divine equipment protecting you, I believe I'm not too far off. It's a pity that the handsome guys I know are all disappointing. If they could be as good-looking as the little handsome guy among you and have such a guardian war beast, I wouldn't have followed His Majesty the unparalleled Emperor in a fit of anger. His Majesty is a blockhead who doesn't love the country or beauties, but only likes to practice martial arts. He wasted my good youth. Now that I think about it, it's really a pity that the best youth has passed. The delicate female voice sighed desperately, as if she was reminiscing about her lost youth. I don't remember it like this. Back then, it seemed that no one wanted you. His Majesty pitied you, so he let you follow him. The skeleton man took his hat and scratched his bald skull with his skeletal fingers in distress. Damn skeleton, I'm not done with you. The female voice was angry. Forget it. It's boring to quarrel like this every day. The crow covered its face with its wings and sighed. Finally, it asked Yu Yang, little guy, you've seen our situation. In short, if you help us do something, we won't let you down. Not to mention that you have unlimited potential. Even if you're a fool, I can still make you an innate elder. A few little girls are also no problem. What do you think of my proposal? Good proposal. Yu Yang nodded. You agree? The skeleton man asked in disbelief. This we'll only know after we fight. A mysterious smile appeared on Yu Yang's face. Supreme duel. The winner is king. Whoever wins will listen to whoever. This is the fairest way. The skeleton man, the crow, and even the invisible woman. They were all silent. Chapter 651. After a long time, the invisible woman suddenly opened her mouth and scolded. This kid is cunning. The competition is fake. He wants to test our strength. She scolded with a smile. But because the voice was very beautiful and coquettish, it didn't sound angry, but like a joke. Yu Yang, who was exposed by the other party, did not change his face at all. He was still calm, as usual, as if the other party said so to bully him. The skeleton man carefully observed Yu Yang, and after a long time, he asked, I really want to know, why do you think you might win us? After all, we are also old guys who have lived for tens of thousands of years. I don't think I can win. I just want to ask the seniors to give me some advice. Yu Yang deliberately became modest, of course. There was also some pride in his modesty. However, only Shui Wuxia and the others knew. Yu Yang was not such a person at all. The more modest he was, the more he was deceiving. Moreover, long before Yu Yang expressed his stance, Shui Wuxia had already shown her respect as a junior. And with Yu Yang's current statement, it was also a tacit understanding. In fact, Shui Wuxia and Yu Yang, who had telepathic communication, had not discussed it before. It was purely a natural cooperation of mind, because they could not guess whether the other party had the ability to probe or intercept the mind. Neither Shui Wuxia nor Yu Yang revealed this special talent. In front of these three super powerful seniors, the less strength exposed, the safer, and the more strength hidden, the better. Moreover, these three seniors were not the most powerful one. There was still the first king of the Demon Abyss, Emperor Wu Shuang, who was the most vigilant. No one knew whether Emperor Wu Shuang, was secretly watching. Yu Yang's Heaven Eyes divine vision had not found Emperor Wu Shuang. However, this did not mean that Emperor Wu Shuang was not nearby. Do you really want to fight? The skeleton man was a little curious about Yu Yang's attitude. He sized him up again, as if he was very curious about him. There was something he couldn't understand. Let's fight 3 rounds. Yu Yang smiled and showed 3 fingers. After hearing Yu Yang's words, the other party fell silent again. After a long time, the crow let out a long sigh. I have to say, in the tens of thousands of years I've lived, you're the bravest little boy I have ever seen. However, you definitely won't be able to defeat us. You haven't even reached the honorable realm. No matter how many guardian beasts you have, it's useless. Little boy, you are indeed very outstanding, more outstanding than anyone else. However, you are too young. If you were to train for another 100 years, perhaps we would have a headache. How about this? We'll put aside our previous proposal for the time being. I'll give you guys 10 years. Go back and cultivate properly. Once you've finished cultivating, you can come back to compete. When you lose, you'll just have to do something very easy for us. What do you think? City Lord Fallen Flowers was stunned. These three old guys were actually willing to let her go? Was the other party plotting something? Yu Yang and the three women looked at each other. Princess Sisai nodded slightly, indicating that they should stay and fight to find out the enemy's information. City Lord Fallen Flowers, on the other hand, felt that they should leave and not take risks. Because if they angered the enemy, it was very likely that there would be an accident. Shui Wuxiao was thinking. Princess Sisai's thoughts were very positive. If they didn't fight and just went back, then the information obtained would be too little and not enough to deal with the Peerless Emperor. Although there was a 10-year time limit, the Peerless Emperor was very likely to wake up within 10 years with the help of the ancient Demon King. This 10-year period might just be a delaying tactic. If they left now, then they would actually fall into the trap. City Lord Fallen Flowers' concerns were not unreasonable. Yu Yang was still in the growth period, and it was not appropriate for his secrets to be made public. If in the battle, the three old monsters, the Skeleton Man, the Crow, and the Invisible Woman, discovered the various secrets hidden in Yu Yang, it was very likely to trigger their killing intent. Even if not, these old guys who have been sealed for tens of thousands of years might use this secret to exchange with the ancient Demon King. The ancient Demon King would definitely pay a lot to obtain the secrets of Yu Yang. It was not a good thing if the secret was leaked. So what should they do? Shui Wuxia raised her head and looked at Yu Yang. She nodded to him, indicating that she would abstain from this vote and leave it to Yu Yang to decide. Whether it was right or wrong, as long as he made a decision, then she would listen to him. Princess Sisai and City Lord Fallen Flowers also looked at Yu Yang and left the final decision to him. Well, I'll be willful. It's best to leave, but we won't choose to leave this time. Yu Yang opened his arms, with the three women in his arms. With their support, Yu Yang was not afraid of all the difficulties and dangers in the world. Even if he killed his way to the Heaven Realm, he would not hesitate. In order to challenge himself, in order to comprehend the sovereign's heart, in order to grow better and faster, Yu Yang made a decision. He turned to the Skeleton Man and the Crow and nodded. Our answer is challenge. Papa Papa. The Skeleton Man clapped his hands and praised. The Crow was thinking. It was a little confused about Yu Yang's real intention. You still want to fight? I haven't fought for many years, and my body seems to be a little inconvenient today. You two guys take this. The delicate female voice declined at once. Little boy, I'm willing to fight with you, but my combat skills and war beasts are a little strange. It's difficult to control their power, and it's difficult to guarantee my life if I fight. The Skeleton Man picked up his top hat and gestured, indicating that he would not accept the challenge for the time being. In the end, this ball was kicked to the Crow, which made the Crow a little angry. You guys are pretending to be dead, always putting me on the table. I'm not a manager. A guard captain has to do so much work, and there's no salary. I seriously protest. If I fight, you guys have to show something. Otherwise, don't blame me for not working hard. The skeleton seems to have a good gem. The Invisible Woman reminded the Crow. I only have 8 gems in total. Now that 6 of them have entered your pocket, do you really want to take out the remaining 2? The Skeleton Man was sweating profusely. 1 for each of you. That's fair. Besides, the Heaven Realm's gems are everywhere. When you go out in the future, how many do you want? Not to mention 8. Even if you use a sack, you can still fill up 8 bags. The Invisible Woman giggled. Ah, this is the 8th grade Resurrection Heavenly Crystal. It's not a common product. If the Heaven Realm can have 2 sacks of this kind of thing, then it's not the heaven realm. The skeleton man scratched his skull with his skeleton fingers again and thought with a little annoyance, I also plan to use these 2 resurrection heavenly crystals to see if I can restore my previous body. Now, maybe I can get my body back. If you think that the resurrection heavenly crystal can bring the dead back to life, then you are too naive. The invisible woman snorted and said, the resurrection heavenly crystal can only be used for a life that has just died with a complete body and a soul that has not been seriously injured. If it has been dead for more than a day, even if the soul is not injured, it will be useless. Have you tried it? Both the skeleton man and the crow asked anxiously. No, but His Majesty said so. The invisible woman pondered for a moment and replied. In the ears of Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, they could hear that this invisible woman must have tried to resurrect with the resurrection heavenly crystal, which was why she was so sure. Of course, in order to cover up her failure, she used Emperor Wu Shuang's peerless words as proof, which could also explain one point. She might have also asked Emperor Wu Shuang's peerless words, and the final answer was that even with the resurrection heavenly crystal, it could not be easily resurrected. The skeleton man sighed. It seems that I can only get God's blood to restore my body. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia looked at each other, and they were excited about the information they inadvertently obtained. Although the resurrection heavenly crystal was good, it was far inferior to God's blood, God's ruins. Among the treasures inside it, there should be a lot of God's blood. This was a peerless treasure for those old monsters to pursue an immortal body in a higher realm. No wonder whether it was Black Hell King, Scarlet Emperor, Ancient Demon King, the ghost trio in front of him, or even Emperor Wu Shuang's peerless words, they were so eager to get God's blood. Suddenly, a strange thought flashed through Yu Yang's mind. The pitiful guy's mother, she was the first person in history to enter the god's ruins. Then, did she obtain a lot of God's blood? Did she become a god and use it to ascend to the heaven realm or a higher realm? Shui Wuxia also turned back and looked at him. I can't get out for now. Everything is fake. I haven't fought for a long time, and I'm itching for a fight. Let's fight. The crow opened its eyes. The strange flaming eyes that could see through everything in the world burst forth with an irresistible aura that made everything in the world bow down. It had yet to increase its power, but it could already look down on everything in the world. This feeling of being in the sovereign realm, Yu Yang had only felt from one person before, and that was Ji Zun. Even Yin Zun, Yin Zong, or the clown party leader, they did not give Yu Yang this feeling of invincibility. As for the Lionheart King, he had enough power and was strong enough. But compared to this crow, the Lionheart King's realm seemed to be slightly lower. At least, he did not give Yu Yang the illusion that he was completely invincible. There was no doubt about the Demon Dragon's realm, but he did not release it. He hit more. As for Queen Vivian Li, she had already reached a realm that Yu Yang could not sense. That might be another level. Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and Shui Wuxia all took a step back. If this crow did not emit such a strong sovereign realm aura, they still hoped to fight for Yu Yang. But now they understood that with their current strength, they could not win. What they needed to do was to watch the battle quietly, find the enemy's weakness as soon as possible, and help Yu Yang win this battle. Not only them, Yu Yang also summoned Sky Law, Sky Disaster, Yu Yu, Yu Bing, and Inan from the Grimoire world. He believed that no matter how much they gained from today's battle, it would definitely affect their cultivation. Because this kind of opponent was rare, Yu Yang kept challenging them. I couldn't tell that you have so many ladies following you, and they're all top-grade beauties. Even an ordinary emperor does not have such good fortune. The invisible woman teased him coquettishly. Greetings, seniors. Yu Bing was more polite and greeted them together with Yu Yu. I'm just here to play. Don't misunderstand. He is my brother-in-law. Sky Disaster held Impatience's arm and proudly expressed that she was not Yu Yang's woman. Wry-faced Mushroom. The crow did not care about this war of words. Battle Angel, The angel's blade spun like the wind, but it could not cut it all. The two were so fast that the eyes could not react to the chase and fight. The red dragonfly, who was also at the third level of Heaven stage, seized the opportunity to catch Ika and throw her far away. Her own body, however, was completely unharmed by Ika's attack. When the girls saw this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. It was too terrifying. With the speed of the battle angel, Ika, she could not even touch a hair on the opponent's body. This was too unbelievable. Big brother, let me help you. Yu Bing could not accept the fact that her brother was being suppressed. In a moment of desperation, she summoned the Titan ancient tree and charged. Fire thorns. The crow flapped its wings, and countless burning fire thorns appeared on the ground. This useless war beast, Fire Bramble, which was only slightly better than the thorny flower in Tong Tian Tower, was actually at the fourth level of Heaven stage here. It could easily grab a colossus like the ancient Titan tree and firmly bind it to the ground. Yu Bing almost fainted when she saw this. She never dreamed that her Titan ancient tree would be bound by others to the point where it couldn't move. This was her usual move. She usually used the Titan ancient tree to bind and capture the enemy. All right, it's my turn. Impatience decided to make a move. Wait, please believe me, I have a way. Yu Yang held Impatience's soft hand, nodded, and walked out. Chapter 652. Yu Yang pointed with his finger. Spirit of Heaven Fire immediately flew out. Her target was none other than the strange wry-face mushroom. For a pure, elemental body like Spirit of Heaven Fire, although she would also be affected by spiritual power, Spirit of Heaven Fire lacked enough human emotions. Negative emotions such as sadness, happiness, sorrow, and bitterness were completely ineffective on her. The only thing that wry-face mushroom could do to Spirit of Heaven Fire was anger. Moreover, Spirit of Heaven Fire did not have the mental breakdown of humans. Even if she was angered, she would not lose her mind and fall into a frenzy like humans. After successfully angering it, Spirit of Heaven Fire's body spewed out flames all over the sky. Her movements were not affected at all. The target of the attack did not change at all. Fortunately, Wry-Face Mushroom's level was higher and its strength was stronger. It easily dodged it. For this dodge, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and the others immediately understood that this Wry-Face Mushroom was not good at close combat. It was only good at using spiritual power to control the enemy. Jellyfish. The crow with its eyes closed flapped its wings and summoned another war beast calmly. It was a jellyfish with a snow-white body that was almost transparent. There was nothing special about its appearance, except that it was an extraordinary Heaven Rank Level 3. This Heaven Rank Level 3 jellyfish faced Spirit of Heaven Fire and spat out countless bubbles. These bubbles that did not have the slightest bit of destructive power had two special characteristics. When Yu Yang bravely stretched out his finger and lightly flicked it, those bubbles immediately burst. To humans, they were no different from ordinary bubbles. But the other characteristic had a completely different effect on war beasts. It easily put Spirit of Heaven Fire, who was spewing flames, into the bubble. No matter how Spirit of Heaven Fire struggled, it could not escape from the bubble. Bubble Jellyfish was another war beast with the same special ability as Wry-Face Mushroom. This kind of war beast could not be defeated with common sense. City Master Fallen Flowers held her cheeks and thought. Why was it that the bubble was ineffective against humans, but had the effect of imprisoning beasts? Princess Sisai was also thinking. She felt that she seemed to have caught some inspiration, but she could not confirm it at the moment. Shui Wuxiao looked at Little Wen Li, as if she was asking her for confirmation. Little Wen Li nodded at Shui Wuxia and flew up, entering a bubble automatically. First, he charged left and right, but was unable to break free from the bubble. Obviously, this was not something that could be broken through by force. Just as Yu Bing and the others were worrying about Little Wen Li suddenly transformed into a rainbow and easily escaped. After escaping from the bubble, she entered again. The second time, she moved her 6 arms and drew a formation on the wall of the bubble. This was the Heaven Rune Circle that Yu Yang was most proficient in. No one knew that Little Wen Li had already learned it. Once the runic circle appeared, the bubbles broke immediately. The bubbles in the sky broke one after another. Even Spirit of Heaven Fire managed to escape. Good. The skeleton man praised little one Lee's performance. She is indeed a divine beast. She has high intelligence and can easily break the opponent's unique skill. Beat him, don't be courteous with me. Pluck out all the feathers of this stinky bird. The invisible woman cheered for little one Lee, as if the world was not in chaos. Which side are you on? Although that kid has a divine beast, she is still in her infancy. Does she think that she can beat me with just one divine beast? The crow snorted a little angrily. It summoned a catfish king that was as huge as a cruise ship. When the catfish king that could swallow an entire mountain appeared in front of the girls, Yu Bing and the others were so scared that their faces turned pale. They knew that there were huge war beasts, such as the island whale, but they had never seen such a huge heaven stage war beast. Now, seeing a catfish king that was thousands of meters long and seemed to be able to swallow the world, they were all scared silly. Such a huge war beast, not to mention fighting, it could crush a group of people with its body. The most terrifying thing was that this catfish king could fly in the sky. It was really hard to imagine. When it opened its mouth, even Sky Disaster, who had been pretending to be calm, trembled a little. She was really afraid that the other party would swallow everyone in one mouth. Spirit of Heaven Fire had to retreat, because she found that no matter how she flew around, she couldn't fly out of the other party's mouth. What to do? The other party put out such a huge war beast as a defense. It was even more solid than a steel castle. There were bubble jellyfish and rye-face mushroom for long-range attacks, red dragonfly and firethorn for restraint, and catfish king for defense. Such a combination was simply invulnerable. Yu Yang did not panic. He smiled slightly. He made a comforting gesture to Spirit of Heaven Fire, who retreated. Then he pointed at Red Dragonfly. He indicated to change the original target of attack and let Spirit of Heaven Fire attack Red Dragonfly, which was the most agile. Spirit of Heaven Fire was no match for the enemy in terms of speed and agility, but she did not have a fixed body form. It was impossible for Red Dragonfly to catch Spirit of Heaven Fire. Even if Spirit of Heaven Fire could not defeat Red Dragonfly, she could still restrain it. Once Battle Angel IKA was released, then IKA could play a role. Sure enough, when Red Dragonfly saw Spirit of Heaven Fire rushing over in flames, it immediately rose into the air. Don't fight with it. It was meaningless to fight with a flame that could change shape at will. Battle Angel IKA got rid of the battle and returned to Yu Yang's side instantly. She raised her arm, charged the black cannon, and aimed at the immobile fire bramble. It was not easy to shoot bubble jellyfish and rye-face mushroom, and it was a waste of energy to shoot Catfish King. Only the immobile fire thorn was the best target. Crow opened its eyes with a surprised look. It didn't seem to expect that Yu Yang could achieve such a miraculous effect by changing the way of attack. It muttered to itself, "Well, you have quite a lot of guardian war beasts. Fortunately, I also have a lot of war beasts." With a flap of its wings, it summoned an extremely ugly and ridiculous insect-type beast. Countless fleshy tubes danced around, and oily blood vessels covered its body. Its appearance was indescribably ugly. Fortunately, it was not very disgusting, but it was definitely not good-looking. Yu and Yu Bing were all familiar with all kinds of war beasts, but they had never heard of this funny insect war beast in front of them. Battle Angel IKA fired a cannon at the fire thorn. The power of this cannon was earth-shattering. Even rye-face mushroom and bubble jellyfish retreated and didn't want to be touched by the shockwave. However, the insect war beast, looking at the energy beam, rushed towards it as if it had found a treasure. It extended thousands of thin insect tubes and greedily absorbed the energy that was bombarded. There was no explosion. There was no shockwave either. Ika's shot made the ugly insect beast suck it all up with the insect tube like drinking water. Yu Yang was speechless. This guy was too much. How could it have so many war beasts? Moreover, the ugly insect war beast was really strange. It actually ate energy as food. If it encountered elemental war beast, Wouldn't this insect be invincible? Fortunately, the origin of Spirit of Heaven fire was a trace of Nirvana flame. Otherwise, it would be at a disadvantage. Brother, what should we do? Yu Bing looked at Yu Yang with a pale face. She wanted to comfort her brother, but she didn't know how to say it. Child's play. How can it be difficult for your brother? Yu Yang patted his chest and summoned the Reaper Mantis. He pointed at the ugly insect war beast and ordered, "Eat that insect. That insect can't fight in close combat." The Reaper Mantis swooped down like a fighter plane. The skeleton man shook his head. It's true that the sucking insect can't fight in close combat, but it's the king of long-range venom. Its poison can melt gold and stone. Sure enough, the skeleton man didn't finish his words. The ugly insect grew more and more long warbearers. There were nearly 10,000 of them, and each warbearers ejected dark green venom. The dark green venom dripped on the ground, and the ground sizzled and smoked, corroding a large area. The sky was full of venom, denser than raindrops. How could the Reaper Mantis get close to such a long-range attack? The Reaper Mantis circled, and its movement technique beautifully avoided the entanglement of the fire thorns that extended to the sky. In the midst of the venom that sprayed like a hail of bullets, it rushed over fearlessly. The insect was so scared that it shrank into a ball and hid under the protection of the fire thorns. Only then did the crow realize that this unusual Reaper Mantis was not afraid of venom at all. This was because the Reaper Mantis cultivated by Yu Yang had been eating all kinds of poisonous creatures for a long time. In addition, Yu Yang had used the innate Qi realm to nurture it, so the Reaper Mantis was immune to almost any venom. In addition, the skin outside her body could also secrete a special oil to protect herself from venom. The venom that sprayed onto her body quickly dripped down. There was no reaction. The fire thorns let go of the titan ancient tree and waved their branches to catch the Reaper Mantis. Faster than the Reaper Mantis, the battle angel Ika's energy cannon had already shot out and destroyed the fire thorns. Tens of thousands of scarred fire thorns shrank back into the ground, and new fire thorns grew in the ground. However, those that shrank a little slower had already been cut off by the battle angel Ika with the angel's blade and thrown into the air. Sea of Thorns. The crow felt ashamed that Yu Yang's war beast could fight back. He was an old guy who had lived for tens of thousands of years, and he couldn't even compare to a child who was still wet behind the ears. That was too much of failure. His war beast, whether it was level or attribute coordination, was close to perfect. How could he let this kid's war beast turn the situation around? The Heaven Stage Level 4 fire thorns grew 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. The entire earth turned into a sea of thorns. The battle angel, Ik, quickly fell into the sea of thorns. Fortunately, she was smart enough to send the Reaper Mantis out first. She was left alone, and with the angel's blade to protect herself, she could barely hold on. The Bloody Queen Red and Aman had already escaped from the negative emotions. However, facing the sea of thorns, the sky full of bubbles, and the steel castle-like catfish king and the wry-faced mushroom standing on its back, they really didn't know how to join the battle. The war beast on the other side not only had a high level and strength, but also had the advantage of long-range and close-range attributes. There was the jellyfish's bubbles and the sucking insect's venom for long-range attacks, the fire thorn sea on the ground, the catfish king's huge mouth in the sky, and even the red dragonfly's extreme capture for close combat. How could they defeat such a combination? They looked at Yu Yang. With their current wisdom, there was no way to come up with a relevant strategy. Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and City Lord Fallen Flowers were thinking. They wanted to share a little of the pressure for Yu Yang and give advice. How is it? You still have war beasts? The crow felt that if he couldn't suppress this kid, it would be too unreasonable. Chapter 653. That's all. Yu Yang, of course, still had war beasts, such as golden-crowned thorny flower queen and hornless dragon Jiangying. However, Yu Yang did not want to reveal more secrets. Moreover, Hornless dragon Jiang Ying was still in hibernation and should not be awakened to participate in the battle. Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen was also in hibernation because of digesting the Heaven Stage rancor. Yu Yang would not awaken her unless he had no other choice. So, are you going to admit defeat? It seems that you don't look like someone who will admit defeat easily. Crow was very confident. Although the opponent still had a young divine beast, he still had his strongest guardian war beast that had not been summoned. If they fought each other, the victory would still be his. I really won't admit defeat easily. I was suppressed by you previously mainly because of the wrong strategy. Yu Yang replied truthfully. After thinking about it, he had already thought of a way to fight back. Out of caution, he decided to discuss with Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai. Skeleton Man, Crow, and Invisible Woman were a little curious. What other ways did this kid have to turn the situation around? War beasts were suppressed and treasures could not be used. What else could he do? Yu Yang, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and Impatience gathered together. They exchanged glances with each other without saying a word. Skeleton Man and Crow opened their mouths and almost fell to the ground. How could this be possible? Just by looking at each other, without words or voice transmission, they could communicate with each other in deep thought? Wasn't this too awesome? If there were 2 people, it would be fine. But there were 5 people here, and 5 people's minds were as one. What kind of concept was this? The Invisible Woman sensed for a long time and did not sense anything. She suddenly exclaimed, "Skeleton, Stinky Bird, did you feel any fluctuation of thoughts?" I didn't hear anything. These kids are too weird. They can communicate without voice transmission. You, who have the listening inherent skill, can't hear anything. Of course, we can't catch anything. Skeleton Man made an exaggerated gesture of wiping his sweat. It is indeed strange. The crow's expression became much more serious. It felt that the true battle had only just begun. Yu Bing giggled. In fact, what everyone was afraid of was the enemy's special talent. There are all sorts of strange things in the world. If one was careless, it would be extremely easy to fall into a trap. Before entering the Black Tower, Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia had already reminded everyone not to rashly use telepathy, especially when exchanging important information. Yu Bing was afraid that the enemy's innate talent would capture the spiritual conversation between her and her brother, so she didn't dare to talk to her brother inside the room. She also didn't dare to use the heart mirror ability to communicate with Anan, Shui Wuxia, and her brother. She was afraid that the enemy would spy on her. Now, looking at the depressed look on the enemy's face, he knew that the enemy really had the listening talent and could eavesdrop on telepathic thoughts. It was a pity that the enemy didn't know that in order to foil the enemy's spying, his brother had specially thought of a silent eye contact. This was a special skill that could only be achieved when one had cultivated body fusion and reached a high level of rapport with one's mind. It was also her brother's unique skill. No one could imitate it, and no one could spy on it. Seeing Yu Bing's happy expression, the Skeleton Man and the Crow became even more gloomy. From this girl's reaction, they could tell that Yu Bing's eye contact was indeed an exchange of information, and not an act to deceive them. How did this kid achieve it? His hand. The 5 of them held hands, but it was not to encourage each other, but a kind of energy and telepathic thoughts communication method. It seems that the eye contact only represents who wants to speak and not using the eyes to speak. The Invisible Woman, after all, was an old monster who had lived for tens of thousands of years. She still saw a little. However, she only understood the principle of communication, but was unable to capture the communication information. Could it be that this is his talent? The Skeleton Man made a bold assumption. It's possible. The Crow also nodded in agreement. Yu Bing, Inan's Sky Disaster, and Haiying Wu did not participate in the discussion. Firstly, their tacit understanding was not as good as Shui Wuxia and the others. For example, Sky Disaster had never cultivated body fusion at all, and Haiying Wu had not cultivated for a long time. Secondly, they were not good at planning battles. Among the girls, Shui Wuxia and Impatience were the top tactical masters. Princess Sisai and City Master Fallen Flowers also often had wonderful inspirations. With the four of them, Yu and the others did not need to spend much effort. Looking at the process of the five people's eye contact, it was mostly Yu Yang who was talking. The four girls were listening. Occasionally, it was Shui Wuxia who raised questions. Sometimes it would be City Master Fallen Flowers and Princess Sisai who said something, and Impatience would shake her head to express disapproval. In short, this kind of silent discussion was quite intense. In the enemy's perfect battle situation, could the five people really come up with a good idea? Although Yu Bing and Yu did not participate in the discussion, but they were convinced of this. He could, because he was the most abnormal and never defeated Yu Clan's third young master among the younger generation in the world. The discussion ended quickly. The four girls nodded to each other, and finally, Yu Yang executed it. Little One Li, who was connected with Yu Yang, had already stood up. She summoned her diamond grimoire, which made the skeleton man and Crow's jaws drop to the ground again. A divine beast with a diamond grimoire? How could this brat have such a guardian beast? Moreover, based on their senses, this little snake demon did not seem to be as simple as the legendary divine beast. It seemed to be even more than that. When Little One Li summoned her stone element Medusa, Storm Mermaid, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon, the skeleton man and Crow almost vomited blood and fell to the ground. They were completely speechless. This brat was really too abnormal. It was fine if his guardian beast was a divine beast, but this little snake demon actually had four guardian beasts. How could they live? Start the battle. Yu Yang summoned the golden beast and threw it to Little One Li. In this space that forbid martial arts, Little One Li could not use her dual blades. However, Yu Yang was already prepared. Tong Tian, Shun Dragon's infant. The skeleton man's jaw dropped to the ground. How many beasts do you actually have? Crow fainted. Other people always said that they had a lot of beasts, but who knew that this brat had even more? No more. I really don't have any more. The expression on Yu Yang's face was one of I still have a lot of beasts, but I won't tell you. Crow had the urge to smash his head against the wall. What kind of person was this? He was only 20 years old, not even an adult yet, but he was already so strong. If this brat was allowed to grow up, how powerful would he be? Even the Heaven Realm would not be able to contain him. Little One Li took the Tong Tian Shin blade that the golden beast had transformed into and raised it towards the sky. The Storm Mermaid suddenly swam backwards, as if she wanted to leave the battlefield. When she retreated 10,000 meters away, she summoned the Storm Horn and immediately summoned a storm. The forbid martial arts rules forbid all offensive weapons. However, some non-offensive treasures seem to have a small loophole. For example, the crystal ball that Little One Li used to seal light could be used. Now, the Storm Mermaid's storm horn was the same. She did not use the storm horn to summon a storm to attack the enemy, but to summon a storm to play with. Large amounts of rainwater poured down, pouring on the sea of fire brambles, making a sizzling sound as steam rose. The crow's expression immediately changed. Even if the storm that the Storm Mermaid summoned did not have a specific target, large amounts of rainwater could still cause the fire brambles' attributes to drop. The fire brambles were not afraid of fire, energy explosions, or slashes, but they were afraid of water. The Storm Mermaid had now become the nemesis of the fire brambles. The rainwater that she summoned became heavier and heavier, quickly gathering on the ground. Originally, such a vast and flat ground was unable to gather water and could only scatter in all directions. This did not affect the fire brambles much, but under the control of the stone element Medusa, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon, more rainwater gathered, forming a huge lake in the surroundings that swept towards the fire brambles. Yu also summoned storm waves, making it increase the power of the water. At the faraway border of the lake, large amounts of ice condensed, forming an ice dam surrounding the water. The Ice Serpent Demon pointed to the sky, and the temperature of the entire space dropped. The Catfish King, which had opened its mouth and was about to swallow the entire lake, had its mouth frozen. The seal was successful, moreover, when it opened its mouth, wanting to swallow a mouthful of water. The storm mermaid controlled the water flow, making them sink, not allowing the catfish king to swallow the water easily, ensuring that the rain from the sky was greater than what the other party swallowed. As a result, the catfish king was also depressed. After so much rain, it wanted to drink water, but it was not allowed to drink. Besides, even if it drank up, the dark clouds in the sky could fall again. No matter how big its stomach was, even if it could drink water, how could it be as convenient as blowing the storm horn? The battle had developed to this point, which the skeleton man, the crow, and the invisible woman could not have imagined before. How could a few children who were not even in heaven's stage fight to this point? If the opponent's war beast was also in heaven's stage, then the opponent would have already won this battle. The reason why the fire brambles and other war beasts could still hold on was mainly because their level was too high and their strength was too strong. Even if they were suppressed by the opponent, they could still hold on and would not lose. This should I still fight? The crow asked its companion. It still had a super powerful guardian war beast. Once it was summoned, it could definitely reverse the battle situation. But the problem was that it would be a bit unfair. It had cultivated for tens of thousands of years, and it was too inferior to bully a few children. Don't fight. The invisible woman felt that it was best for the crow not to fight, because there was no point in winning. It's fine to have a test. The skeleton man habitually scratched its skull a few times with its skeletal fingers. After some thought, it nodded. So, should we fight or not? The crow was dumbfounded. Why were the two answers completely opposite? One said not to fight, and the other said to fight. Who should he listen to? He looked at the little snake demon holding the heavenly blade opposite him and was also a little itchy. He had not fought with such an opponent for tens of thousands of years. Today he had the opportunity, and if he didn't show it, he would be sorry for his rusty bones. In the end, it decided, fight, no matter whose descendant it was. And no matter what trouble it would cause, it would fight to its heart's content. It spread its wings, and its whole body burned, summoning a platinum grimoire. With its summon, everyone, including Yu Yang, felt an inexplicable pressure rising in the sky. A dazzling light shone brighter than the sun, more intense than the sun. The light was like an arrow, shooting so fiercely that people couldn't open their eyes. There was only a brilliance that couldn't be looked at. In the center of that brilliance, only Yu Yang, who had the heaven eyes divine vision, could barely see that there was a glowing sun. Golden Crow, Heaven Stage Level 5. No, Heaven Stage Level 6 three-legged Golden Crow. Even someone as calm as Yu Yang couldn't help but cry out involuntarily when he saw this guardian beast. This crow's guardian beast had far exceeded his imagination. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.